Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Hello.
Welcome to Austin, Texas.
I know.
How you doing?
I'm good.
You're a Nashville resident now, huh?
I am. Yeah, I'm from there. So
When did you move back?
it's been 6 years. I started in Chicago. I moved from Nashville to Chicago first, and then New York for about 9 years, and then LA for a couple. And I started touring on the road like a lot more. And then I moved back to Nashville. It was what I thought to myself, the first unselfish thing I did for my family in comedy.
Yeah.
Was I was being gone so much. We have an 8-year-old. I mean, at the time we had a 2-year-old. So, and so I was like, just leaving them, you know? And I was like, let's just go. But when I first moved back, I didn't tell anybody.
Really?
I was afraid people would think I'd quit comedy.
Isn't that weird?
I know. I was so
You can only do comedy in a couple places.
Yeah. I was so scared. I had my buddy Rory Scovel, I moved, didn't tell him, and he came to Nashville, and I was like, hey, I'll pick you up at the airport. I'm like at my parents' house. And then I picked him up and drove to my home, and I was like, I've been gone for 6 months. Because I realized you weren't seeing anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if you're on the road a lot, it almost doesn't matter where you live as long as you have a workout room.
Yes.
And you use Zanies? Is that your spot?
I use Zanies, but I would do Zanies is my workout room. I started changing where I really started working out on the road. Like it was doing just constantly touring. Mm-hmm. And so I liked building the act, in that long format, like doing that hour.
Right.
Like I'm doing it right now. And so like having to build it where I open with new, and I like to see how far I can get. And then so I can have some kind of gauge.
So you open with new.
Yeah, because you're the most excited about it.
Right, it's fresh.
And it's fresh, and usually your audiences will give you the most grace at the top. So you can kind of be like, I'm excited about them. I'm the most excited about these jokes. I'm going to get a little grace from them because they're excited that you're coming out. And then so I do that, and then I can get a real timing. Because, one time I mixed in old and new after a special. And I remember a guy afterwards like being like, I did like all old stuff. And I was like, no, I did half new. Because it's mixed in, they don't know.
Right.
And so that way, if I open with it, I mean, I'll even, like after a special, if I got like 40 new and I have to close with from 20 from the special, I'll tell the crowd, I was like, all right, that's all the new jokes I got. And then they feel like, oh, then afterwards they're like, well, I got so many new jokes. And they feel great about it.
That's an interesting change of thought process between like the old guard and like the newer comics that are doing specials on a regular basis. Like the olden days, guys would keep an act forever. They'd keep an act for 10, 15, 20 years.
I mean, it was, when I started, I moved to, actually I have a story with you.
Oh, yeah?
About first starting.
Oh.
You were responsible for basically the first time I ever went on stage. I mean, almost in a comedy. I think Zany Chicago might have been the first actual club I went to. Is either that or the Comedy Store. So I was friends with a buddy of mine, Josh Baker. He was in the band Prom Kings. Do you remember a band? I think.
Sure.
Yeah. And so we came out to L.A. to hang out with him. And and so they knew you. And so this is, I mean, I think it's 2003 or 4. And I've been doing comedy maybe a year. And so we come out, and then you invite us to the show at the Comedy Store. So we come watch you. We sit in the front row. I remember all this stuff. It's like a nightmare as a comic.
Wow.
Now when you think back, then I didn't care.
Had you been thinking about doing it already?
I already started. I moved to Chicago.
Okay.
So I was in Chicago with like Hannibal and Pete Holmes and TJ Miller and Kumail. Like that was kind of the group that was in Chicago. So we went from Chicago to LA to go just visit. And so we hung out with them. We go to your show. You introduced them at one of their shows because I guess you were good friends with these people or with the band, or you liked this band. And so you introduced them. And I remember I talked to you afterwards. Like we were like at the show, and I'm like talking about comedy. I'm trying not to be. I'm a new comic, so I don't even really know what to ask. You were very, very nice. And then we go watch you, and then you said you're going to go up at the Comedy Store. And I was like, it was when you had to sign up for the open mic the week later. So you signed up for the Monday to go up the next week. And I was like, I'm not going to be here. And you go, oh, I'll call. And then you got me on stage. You called and said, "Hey, he's just in town doing this." I mean, dude, I'm a year comic.
Look at
And
it.
so
It worked out.
it worked out, dude. They brought me up. They go, "This next comic's one of Joe Rogan's best friends." And then the other comics were just furious, and I'm like, I was like, we met him last night. He's a very nice guy.
That's a funny thing, man. Those little like nudges and like little pieces of good, like criticism or good, a praise from a comic when you're starting out, like that can go so far.
So far.
So I remember to this day, like Lenny Clark, I'd done stand-up. I'd done it for like a year, and I'd gotten paid one time before. This is the second time I ever got paid. And I opened up for Lenny Clark in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. This was after
I think
Lenny.
I've done this show.
Really?
This gig, yeah.
Is it Jay's in Pittsfield?
Was it in a hotel?
I don't think so.
I've done a Pittsfield mask.
It was like a nightclub, and it was like one of the best road gigs. Like everybody it was a 3-hour drive from Boston, but it was one of those road gigs where everybody would get excited. And this was after Lenny had been on HBO. He was on the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian Special, the Ronnie called it. And so just being around him was crazy, and then opening for him was even more crazy. And then after I got off stage, he was like, "Kid, you're really funny," like with that crazy Boston accent. And man, that powered me through like years. Years, I was like, "Oh man, I'm doing this. Like I'm never quitting now." Like Lenny Clark said, "I'm funny. Fuck, yeah, I'm good."
It's it's gigantic.
Yeah.
Like that was you doing that at that time. I knew the Comedy Store, but it's not like I even really. And then it was like going to New York and then be like, I've already done the Comedy Store, even though it was the open mic. It was just I saw the world, and I got to see the world. And then talking to you at that the band, you were just talking about going up, and like you got to go up, like stuff that you would say to comics, but it was like stuff that I didn't know at that time, and you realize that's enormous. Yeah, that's enormous. I did that Pittsfield mask gig. Because I was in New York, I opened up for Tony V.
Oh, I love Tony V.
Yeah, and I was the host. Got paid $500. It was crazy. Like I was like, this is crazy. I've never been paid $500 for a gig.
Right.
It's packed, it's sold out. I mean, you just murder. And I thought maybe it wasn't at a hotel. I don't remember. My wife went with me. It was a big night. They give me $500 cash. I end up later on that night, I lose the $500.
Oh no!
It just falls out. Why? So the night goes from this amazing night with my wife for $500 to now we're in a fight, and I still think I'd tell her every day because at the time I was like, "You ever going to remember this $500?" Like I always kind of live by that motto. Like I'll get another $500. I bring it up still. I mean, it's been 15 years, and I still just go, "You remember that $500?" Like just to make that point.
Tony V gave me a really interesting piece of advice one day because he was telling me that he drove from Boston to New York. I think he got a writing gig. I forget what the gig was, but he had to travel on a regular basis. He was still living in Boston, but he was doing the gig in New York. And I go, that's like a 3.5-hour drive. Like, how often do you do that? And it was regular, like multiple times a week. And I said, how are you doing that? He goes, I just go zen. He goes, I just say, this is what I'm doing now. I don't get upset. I just say, this is what I'm doing. I'm driving. And I just think about it that way. And I remember thinking like, oh, yeah, you can do that, right? You can just say, this is what I'm, instead of going, fuck, I can't believe I'm driving 3.5 hours. How much time is left? 2 hours and 19 minutes. Fuck. Yeah. Instead of thinking like that, you can just drive.
Just drive.
Yeah,
it's a great way to the Zen idea of it.
Yeah.
I can do that with food. I eat terrible, but sometimes if I'm trying to eat better, it's like, and it's not a lot, but you try to think like I'm going to eat a decent meal tonight. I'm gonna have like steak and green beans tonight or something, whatever. That's all I know that's like good. And like, I don't know. I'm like real food. I'm like, I don't want to people eat. So I'm on a salad, and I wrap my head around it very early in the day. To go, that's what I'm expecting. Because I can go the other way. And if I think I'm going to eat something bad, like, and that doesn't happen, like I'll lose my mind. It's a very, I don't know if that's Zen.
Yeah, it is. You just got to decide this is what you're doing. I mean, that's how it is with everything, with exercise, with writing. Like, you just got to decide, I'm writing now. I'm getting up.
Are you a word for word?
Not necessarily, but sometimes. Sometimes I write something and it works word for word. Most of the time, not though. Most of the time, what I do is I write essays. Like I'll have a subject that I'm working on, so I have this long form idea. Like whatever the subject, coffee, whatever. Pick a subject, right? So as I'm writing, I just start writing all the shit about coffee, and then out of it, somewhere, something, I'll go, aha, I got something, and I'll extract that, and I'll put it on a separate piece of paper.
Okay.
A separate file. And I'll say, this is, there's something in there.
There's something there.
Yeah, and then sometimes there is and sometimes there's not. And I have fucking, I don't know how many these files that never went anywhere. I'll go back to them and look, just check, like panning for gold again. What do you got in here? Anything? Nothing? Nothing? Fuck.
Yeah.
And I'll just, every now and then. But sometimes bits just come to you on stage too.
Yeah.
And you got to be open to that. Like sometimes you'll be at dinner and someone will say something, you'll have some fucking hilarious retort to that, and you're like, holy shit, that could be a bit. Like my friends do that all the time. Like they'll say something hilarious, and I'm like, dude, you got to write that down. That there's something in that. Like you never know. You never know. And then that can become a bit.
It's I had my last special. I have a joke where I went golfing and a guy saw me with no shirt on. And he just said Olivia. He thought I was he was looking for his elderly wife and saw me with no shirt on. And from a distance he thought we had the same build, and he's like, he's like Olivia. So that happened, and I opened that, but I always think that's crazy. That was a month before I taped that special, and that's what I opened the special with. Where you have to be open to the idea that you're like, I don't know, When it happened, I knew. I was like, well, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Like it was, I called a couple people on the drive to be like, this is funny, right? Like to make sure you're not like a crazy person. And then I went and I was going to like Tampa, the Improv in Tampa. And I like drove there and I opened with it that night. And I was like, this is a new opener on the special.
Yeah. You never know.
You never know.
That's the beautiful thing about creating, about comedy. It just comes out of the air. It just comes out of your mind. It's just like,
and you get nervous when after a special though, there's definitely moments I feel like right now when you're trying to write new stuff and you're like, dude, I might be one of the worst comedians that have ever lived. Yes. I think that all the time. Like I go,
well, I think it's one of the great things about comedy, that it keeps you humble because you're always a beginner every 2 years in.
Yes.
You do a special and then you're a beginner again because you have all this stuff you have to work out. And it's really hard. Like during the pandemic, there's only been a few guys that I know that have, like Bert Kreischer has been the most gangster about it. He's toured regularly from the jump. He started doing those drive-in movie shows. Yeah. Like he kind of, I'm pretty sure it was Bert's idea to do these drive-in shows. Yeah. I think he started it.
I did it. I did them too. I did like 20 of them. And yeah, he would kill him. Like, I mean, he's kind of built for that. Like, in the way, like, he was
big.
Like perfect.
It's like he's a big act. Like, he turns like big energy, big performing, takes his shirt off. Everybody honks their horn. You know?
Dude, I had someone, we go to Butler, PA, it's pretty rough when you see a Ford F-150's lights hit you in the face because they leave early. Like, that's the hard part. Like, when you're on stage, dude, and it's just truck, these lights just hit you, and you couldn't figure out how to get out. So he's just driving, and you're like, just leave, man. You're like, please, someone help him get out. Like, it's so rough. That's
hilarious. That's the most inconspicuous or non-inconspicuous leaving ever. You're in a fucking truck.
It's a truck. Brr, he's gonna start that car and like let it warm up. He's like, we're going soon.
That's
and you're
hilarious.
Like, oh God.
Yeah.
It was. Those were tough. That's what I had to do. But you know what? If you went into it with the right attitude, because I know some comics were like, these are the worst, and they are. It's not ideal, but if you went into it, I go, these people are coming out. They haven't been able to do anything. It's not. What does it matter if my feelings are not like? I don't feel like I'm getting laughs.
Right.
That's not what it's about. And it's about making these people be happy. And they did in Chicago. We did Chicago. It was 500 cars. When I walked out, people flashing lights, honking the horns. They honked for laughs because it was like 45 degrees, raining. So they're all in the windows up, and they would like kind of just do little beeps.
That's so weird.
But you learn that I just need a response. That's kind of like once you like the Zen idea of it. You just when you go into it with a better attitude. I'm not mad the whole time I'm up there.
Did you hear laughs at all?
There'd be a couple people sitting up front, but not really. Wow. And so you'd hear just some like honking and laughing.
Did it fuck with your timing at all?
Yeah, I mean, I did 24 minutes of 60-minute material. No, yeah. I got off. I go, that was long right there. We barely started. I was like, oh god.
So, did you really do 24 minutes?
No, my special I did though. The one I had it timed out to 64 minutes. You did have to figure out how to be like, just trust that they're laughing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, so when we did the special, they had everybody, we had to do it at Universal Studios in California. 100 people, all of them had to get tested, but then also still had to wear masks during the show. And the first night, you tape 2 shows. First show, 64 minute is what my material was running at the drive-ins. First show I did 43 minutes.
Wow. How come?
Because it was, I realized you could hear some laughs, not really much, and you can't see their faces. So you just look like you're you're just looking at eyes. And so unless a guy like shook because he was laughing so hard, I mean, you're just telling a joke just to like eyes not moving.
That's so weird.
And it was tough. And so the second one, I was like, all right, well, we have to, I got off. You know when you get off and you're like, that was cool.
And the second one, did you make them take their masks off?
No. But we had...
This is Universal in Hollywood?
Yeah. Universal Studios, yeah. And they, so we had, the audience had mics on their tables. And so he put that in my monitor up a little louder. And so I could hear them laugh through the mask.
Oh.
Because they're laughing, but it's like, I just can't hear. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so frustrating when you're talking to people like, and they're trying to give you directions or explain something, you're leaning in.
I just
like,
pull it down. I'm going to go, what's
fuck
that?
Are you saying?
You come around the plastic, like you go somewhere they have the plastic thing. You go around it and pull your mask down. What's that? They're like, well, that's not what you're supposed to do at all. Like, you just make it way worse.
Well, people that have already had COVID, they're so fucking, they don't care at all. Like, they're just free people.
Yeah.
They're like people that have gotten out of jail and can never go back. They're
Yeah.
just robbing cars.
It doesn't matter.
That's how they behave. That's how Jamie is. All these, they're flagrant. They go out to clubs. Hinchcliffe is the same way. Yeah, they get this attitude about it. Like, I'm free.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of people have a lot of power right now. I was like talking a little bit about it in my new act, not to do my act, but it was like, but the idea that like everybody gets to tell someone to pull your mask up. I can go tell anybody I want. So like everybody has power.
Yes.
Just a guy on the street can go, your mask is a little down. And you're like, that guy's got power over you.
Cover your nose.
And you're like, I don't even know that,
Yeah, you have to kind of respond and listen to him or you're a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of power.
I saw some guy was fucking with people. He made a mask that looked like he wasn't wearing a mask. It looked like the mask was under his chin. So the mask is like a mask of his face. And then this part looks like one of them operating masks, but it's under the chin.
Yeah.
And some lady was yelling at him at a store. He's like, I'm wearing a mask. She goes, no, you're not wearing it the right way. And like she was looking right at him and just kind of like not trying not to make eye contact. So not clearly recognizing that it's a fake. It's good.
Wow,
It was good. It was like a photograph,
Yeah.
But it was funny to watch the anger that people have.
But yeah, people get real upset about it. I mean, I always say, like, if you've been to a place where it's been uncomfortable to have the mask on, like if you if you go farther out of like a city, and I've walked in with a mask on, and you walk in, you're like, oh, sorry about that, everybody. Like you just feel like they're like, what's COVID, dude? Like, why do you have a mask on?
Andrew Schultz is in Miami right now.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He said it's like that there. He said it is fucking bananas. He goes, they don't give a shit. He goes, no one's wearing a mask because they're going to nightclubs. He goes, people are just out there wandering around. Florida has no rules. They're just wide open. And Texas is on the verge of that. They've kind of announced no rules, but they're fighting it here in Austin. But the cases are down in Austin, so they're lowering. Like we were talking to the nurse out there.
Yeah.
They're lowering the whatever the stage it is that you're allowed.
Well,
to do things.
Everything's going down. Like, but I just did stand up live in Phoenix, and it was half capacity. But so they said they could open to 100%, but then they still have to be 6 feet apart, so you can't. So it's like little stuff like that where they can't open. You can't tell them because comedy clubs pack them in.
I thought they just went full open recently.
But they did
Still?
But you have to be 6 feet apart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you still have to be socially distanced. So you can't go. It's kind of impossible to go full. Because if you're in a building And they're like, we can have full capacity in here. And you're like, well, I can only fit. And you're like, well, everybody still needs to be 6 feet apart. You're like, well, then I guess we're not.
Were they really 6 feet apart at Stand Up Live though? Because Callan told me it was packed.
It was packed. But I always think these clubs look packed.
Yeah.
But when you go walk around, those tables, we forget how packed comedy clubs got it. They got it really packed.
Right.
And so now people are sitting just kind of how they're supposed to sit.
In real life.
A little in real life. Like if you go to a restaurant, it's just, you're not just a stranger's back.
Right.
And you're just.
You're not supposed to be looking at someone's text right over your shoulder.
No, just every. They have the plexiglass. Too on the tables.
Yeah, I saw this about Fauci. He said U.S. considering updating 3-foot social distancing guidelines and key move to reopen schools. Yeah, they're saying there's no difference between 6 foot and 3 foot. Like, stop.
I don't understand it. You've tried to figure all this stuff out. Like I always think we have a graph problem in this country. Like there's too many graphs, and I don't understand. Like they just keep throwing more out there. And they always say per capita, and you're like, I don't even know what's per capita of what. Like I have no idea. They're like per capita of Florida, you're like, I don't know. That could be good or bad.
I don't know what that means.
It means the population.
Well, it means it's per whatever the number would be, whether it's per 1,000 or per million people. So like if you have a place like California that has 40 million people in the state versus a place like Wyoming that has less than 1 million, you would say how many COVID cases they have per capita, like per 100 people. Like so Wyoming, if they're basing it on whatever the number is. So if they're basing it on 100 people, they say Wyoming has, X amount per capita. Versus California has, whatever the number is.
Why would they not just use the real numbers?
Because they want you to think differently. Because, if California has 2 million cases, there's 40 million people. Wyoming only has less than 1 million people in the entire state. So if Wyoming has 1,000 cases, like, oh my God, Wyoming's a huge success story. Not necessarily.
Because they got less.
Per capita, based on the amount of people that are there. Like...
Yeah.
There's 1 out of every 10 people has COVID, or 1 out of every 100 people has COVID versus California, whatever the number is. That's what per capita means.
Right. Seems
That's
like a lot, to be honest. But I barely made it out of high school, Joe, so I don't know what's going on.
Listen,
dude.
I barely made it out of high school too.
Yeah.
I used to have nightmares about being forced to go back.
Out of high school?
Oh yeah. I used to have nightmares about I didn't get my requirements. Like I didn't care. I didn't necessarily care what my grades were. I just wanted to get out. But what I did care is I didn't want to be a high school dropout.
Yeah.
Like a high school dropout to me at the time was like a death sentence. Like for sure you're going to be a loser.
Yeah.
Which was my number one fear.
Yeah.
Like was that I was going to be a loser. I was so scared of being a loser. I went to college just because I didn't want people to think I was a loser.
Yeah.
Because I went like a whole year without doing any college at all. Like I went from graduating to, when I guess I graduated at 17 till whatever the fuck, the next year. And I answered so many questions. Like, oh, I'm taking a year off. And people look at you like, oh, man.
Here we go.
Becoming a fucking loser.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm like, shit, I'm going to be a loser.
It was before people traveled abroad, too. You're like, I'm taking a year off. No one said that.
Well, dude, I lived in Boston. They didn't even travel to other cities.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't go anywhere. And and it was like such a blue collar. I lived in a place called Newton Upper Falls, which is like this blue collar, it was a nice area, real quiet. Like, go back to it now. It's like, wow, I grew up in a cool place. But it was very hardworking people, which is cold weather people are hardworking people. Mm-hmm. They value hard work because you have to shovel yourself out of your fucking driveway, period. You have to go to work when it's cold, period. You want to keep food on the table, you got to get firewood, period. You got to do something to keep the house warm, period. You have to work.
Yeah.
You can't just fuck off.
Yeah.
And there's places where, like California, you can just kind of chill. You can't chill in Boston. You'll freeze to death.
Yeah, air conditioned heat goes out in California. You're like, we're fine. Like in LA, it's like the greatest. Every day's the greatest day ever.
Yeah,
I mean, it feels amazing.
I remember when I first came there in like 1993. I was doing something with MTV, and me and my friend Gary Valentine, we went out there, and he was staying with me, and we were wandering around. We were like, dude, this is paradise. This is like another day in paradise. Like every day, it was like the sun was shining, and it was beautiful.
Is that who was your guys that you started with? Like Valentine?
Valentine I knew because I was good friends with Kevin James, and it's Kevin's brother. And, in those days, like I had left Boston right when Burr was coming up. So Burr was coming up right when I was leaving. And, and then I went to New York right after that. So the guys that were with me, like I met Chappelle when he was like, I think Dave was like 18 or 19.
Wow. Yeah.
And, Norton, I knew Norton back then. I knew Neil Brennan when he was a doorman. He was a doorman at Boston Comedy.
Yeah.
So
Marin, was he?
Yeah, Marin was one of the guys that gave me like a really nice compliment when I was an open micer. When I was a raw open micer, just hadn't been doing it very long at all.
Yeah.
And he said something nice to me, and I remember like, because he was a professional. I was like, oh.
What everybody's mind when you first go, so when I moved to New York, I went to Boston Comedy Club and I barked and handed out flyers.
Oh, did you do that?
I did I did it with Pete Holmes, his show. I did exactly that show. So with Pete, he got me. I moved like 5 months after Pete did, and he was like, "I'm barking at this club," and so I was like, "All right, I'll go do that." I remember just standing on the corner. It taught me to learn to, like, when I have goals in comedy, it was like learn just to have little goals. Like I never set big goals. I always set just a goal that I can get, and then so I was like, I don't want to be on this corner. So I was like, how do I get off this corner? And then it was like, you just want to go stand in the door. Like I would like at that moment dream of just being able to take people's tickets at the door.
Right.
And so you're like, and you're just, handing these flyers out. People are just dropping them in front of your face. Like no one cares, dude. Like just throwing them. It's like 25 degrees out. And you're like, eh. And so, but I was at Boston. So Chappelle used to always come by. This is 2004 or 5. So Chappelle would always come by and do spots. So he'd go up in front of 6, 7 people. No one was there. And then we'd go outside and just say, hey, Chappelle's on stage.
This was when Chappelle's show has already been off the air.
No, it's right before he ended it.
Oh.
Right
so
before
it was
he
on.
ended it.
It was
It was on.
Wow.
He would come. I remember him coming and having like white makeup on his neck, like if he played like a white person on Chappelle's show. And he would still have it on, because he'd come from there to...
Straight to the club.
And so we'd go up at Boston and everybody would go on stage. And I remember, I'll never forget these one people, they walked by and I said, hey, Dave Chappelle's on stage. If y'all can go watch for free, And Boston Comedy Club, remember, had those steps and there was a window. And they go, I don't believe you. I was like, well, I'm at a comedy club. So I was like, he's in there. Just go look in the window. If he's not there, then don't go in. And they were like, no. And they left. I think about those people every day. They could have watched Chappelle for free.
Those people and that $500.
Those $500. I bring it up to my wife every day. And those people too.
I did Dave's show when he was in New York. When we did this Fear Factor episode, and where Tyrone Biggums was on Fear Factor, and it was in a warehouse. It was in the middle of the winter, freezing fucking cold, no heat in the warehouse. So we had these little blast furnace, those things that they do on sets, where it's like those things that are blowing hot air out, and you just stand in front of that until it's time to do the scene, and then you go out there and do the scene, and everybody would run back and stand in front of the blast furnaces. But he was in character the whole day as Tyrone Biggums. He was having so much fun.
Yeah, he was. Watching him, he would come by, and he would go up for a while. He hosted one that when I think it's when Boston switched to the Comedy Village. Like it was like run. My buddy Dustin Chafe is the one that got us. He was running the Boston at the time, and then it switched to Comedy Village. Whoever sold it. But then Chappelle came by one night and hosted for everybody, like even the open mic guys that were going up, because he would come up and just do whatever he wanted, and getting to see that. Bill Burr was a big deal for me. Patrice O'Neill, I used to sit in Patrice's car because he would park it out front of the Boston. You couldn't park there, and he'd go on stage, and I would sit in his car. And so if a cop came, I would just drive his car around and wait till he got done.
Wow.
I saw Burr and Patrice. Everybody's a big deal, but they were big for me because when I went to New York, at that time, 2005, something like that, Burr's just a comic that people know him in New York, but he's not what he is now, obviously. And so they would come by and they would run their HBO one night stands for these 30 minutes specials. And I remember I timed Patrice's one night. He didn't ask me, by the way. Just like a young comic being like, I'll time it for you. And he gets off, and like, I have no concept of being on TV. I think like he has to do 30 to the dot.
Right.
And I tell him afterwards, I was like, that was like 34 minutes. And he just like looked at me and walked away. Like he was just like, there was no reason for me. I mean, I was so embarrassed about doing that. And now I know, but it was like at the time I was just trying to be, a good comic. And like,
Did you see his the Comedy Central documentary they did about him?
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't got to watch it yet.
I haven't either, but I will make myself for sure. But I've seen so many of his sets. He was
the best.
He was for sure one of the greats, for sure. But he was, maybe even more important, like he was a cornerstone of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you had to have a guy like that was an elite stand-up comic. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you needed a guy like that to have a great point, like really well thought out point that was hilarious, that showed you why you shouldn't care or why something was stupid.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was some controversy about Opie and Anthony, and he went on some show, and some woman was saying that certain jokes could never be funny, and and he went and said like a joke that was on that subject that was funny. Yeah. And he was like, look at all, but this is a point that he had that's like a really good point that I stick with to this day. It's like, it all comes from the same place, whether the joke is funny or the joke is not, whether it's offensive or whether it's hilarious and non-offensive. It's coming from the same place. You're just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And when you're a comic, you understand that, because like you'll say something that some people might find offensive, but the only reason why you're saying it is not because you're trying to be mean. You're saying it because you think there's some funny in there. Like you're trying to find the funny, and sometimes like you'll slip and it doesn't work at all. And sometimes
agreeable is not funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And
like the whole point of it is like I can't agree with you.
Exactly.
Comedy's all built from. Sometimes if someone like they'll be like, "Oh, you're being mean to him," you're like, "Well, I don't." That's what comedy's mean.
Sometimes, yeah.
It's mean. I told a joke where I said I did something with my dad, but I came out and I did a show. These people didn't expect a comedy, so they didn't know I was a comedian. And I started telling my act. They don't know what I'm doing, so it just sounds like I'm doing a mean speech. Because that's what comedy is. If there's no context to it,
right?
You'd be like, this guy's the worst.
Right.
Like, and you're like, oh, but if I just told them,
right,
I was the comedian, they would be like, oh, okay, they get it. I still live to this day by some Patrice said it was. So I kind of started with Big J, Kurt Metzger. Kurt Metzger, by the way, and Kurt and Big J were one of the comics I ever saw that I just was like really, where I was like, you moved to New York and you're like, oh man, this is like the real, like these guys are like really good, you know.
Have you been paying attention what Metzger's doing with Kyle Dunnigan?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Metzger's one of the funniest guys I've
Brilliant.
ever.
Just super smart.
I remember watching him at the very beginning. He would take me on the road. We'd do like these old weird gigs, and so he would just call me his opener. And I'm like friends with Kurt at this point. I drove him to the gig, and we'd be in the elevator, and he's just on the phone. He's like, "What's that?" "No, I'm sitting here with my opener." I'm like, "Kurt, just say my buddy." Like, you know, like it's not like I'm opening for like, you know, Seinfeld or something.
Right.
Like,
right.
it's like you're getting paid $800 for this weekend, dude. Like, he just would call me that to my face. And I got him in that room though, because we shared a hotel room. That's where like the gig we're doing, and he goes to we're going to the bathroom, and he's like, "Is this lotion?" And I would always just like mess with him, or if he asked a dumb question, he goes, "I need lotion. It says conditioner," and I go, "That's it. It's conditioner for your skin." And I just tell him that, and then I walk in there, and he's just rubbing conditioner all over his body, and then we had to go do radio, and that's why he called me opener.
He's a brilliant guy, but he's an odd duck. The moment I met him, the first time I met him in Montreal. Ari introduced me to him, and he goes, "Hey, what's up?" And then he goes, "Hey, what are you doing for your hair? Your hair's falling out. Are you doing anything for it?" I was like, whoa. I go, yeah, I'm minoxidil, all kinds of shit. He's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it was just like literally the first words out of his mouth.
Yeah, like, all right, man.
He's just he's got an interesting way of looking at things, but he's also got a brilliant perspective because he grew up in a cult.
Yeah.
You know, and because he grew up in a cult, it's like he sees a lot of those same patterns in like woke thinking. And he's like where you can't question certain ideologies, and he gets really angry because no, I know what the fuck this is. He goes, I grew up with this shit.
Yeah.
What was he, a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah.
That was it, what? Right?
Yeah.
And you know his stories about growing up as a Jehovah's Witness were fucking crazy.
I mean, can you imagine that coming to your door? Like, it was just like, hey, what are you doing with your hair? That's the first thing he says. You're like, oh, what are you?
Well, he's just, I don't know. I'm so happy he's around, though. He make me so happy at the Comedy Store whenever I talk to him.
Unbelievable. And when I watched him at the very beginning, the Patrice thing that I lived. So Jay was. We used to go to Patrice's house for like 4th of July or something. He always had a party at his house, and so I got invited. And Jay, and then someone, I got into it with someone else, one of Patrice's friends, basically, and he was like, and he told Jay, hey, Patrice doesn't want Nate to come to the party. And then Jay calls Patrice and is like, well, the context of this too is like, so Patrice would always ask me, I grew up in the South, like I grew up, you know, Christian in the South, typical Southern upbringing, going to church, all this stuff. So Patrice knew that, and he would ask me like, do you believe in dinosaurs and stuff? And I would just go with what I would say no. I believe in them, but like it was, you know, I was like, I want to just say no. Like I'm not going to give him what he wants.
Right.
Because then he would make fun of you and it'd be great.
Right.
So I would always do that. And so then, so Jay calls him and says, hey, our other guy says that Nate can't come to your house for that party. And Patrice was like, what? He goes, I didn't say that. He goes, that dude doesn't believe in dinosaurs. You don't think I want that in my house? I want that all over my house. He goes, he can come to the party. And I've lived my life by that. With that open-mindedness to go, if someone came up to me and was like, I don't believe in the moon, I'd rather talk to that guy than a guy that does believe in the moon. Like, it's funner to be like, what kind of crazy could they like?
Do you know there's people out there that don't believe in the moon?
Are there?
Yeah. No, man.
I would love to talk to them.
Yeah. I don't know if I want them to know where I am. Like, there's, you know, I don't know, because it's going to be hard to get away from them. Like, if they're that crazy. Like, there's
if
people
you give them,
hashtag space is fake. You need to Google that.
Yeah.
Google space is fake. There's a bunch of people that think the space is fake and that we are on a flat plane.
Yeah.
Like, we're on some sort of a flat plane and that the stars are lights.
Yeah.
And that this is a conspiracy.
Like a Truman Show?
Yes. That
Okay.
it's a conspiracy to keep us from understanding that God has created us and that we're special. We're not one of an infinite number of planets in the universe. No, we are God's creation, and this is the heavenly petri dish or whatever.
I mean, if I start going down that road, I don't know what cap it is, so I'll probably be like, I'll be in it. Like I'll just be like just sit with this group.
It's wild, man, because the thing about these YouTube videos is if somebody puts together a YouTube video, what they can do is talk very eloquently and articulately and say shit that's batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense at all to a scientist. But if they say it and no one interrupts them and goes, stop, that's not how it works. Stop. That's not true. Stop. This is the real statistics. Stop. This is how we know that's not true. And this is how they studied it. And this is all the scientists that worked on this for 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
And then you're making a YouTube video saying that these were all, you know, Nazi propagandists that were put here by the Rockefellers to, you know, the ruin children's education. But you could say that in a video. And if I watch, I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
You know what I learned today? I learned some crazy shit about space. It's not even real.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch. It's kind of died off. Like the flat earth thing was a great example of that. There was a period of time where it was like a mental contagion. Like it made its way through a lot of dumb stoners, a lot of people that don't read, a lot of people that don't pay attention to science, or just a lot of people that are like really in disbelief of everything the government says. And there was like hundreds of videos about space and the earth being flat, and you know that there's an ice wall around Antarctica. It's kind of gone away now. People have abandoned it for the most part. But I used to follow it like to the point where it was one of the most stunning things about the internet was how many people are out there that really believed the world was flat.
Yeah. How many people was it? Could it be that many people? Is it?
I think it was thousands.
Thousands.
There was a basketball player. Who was the basketball
Kyrie
player?
Irving.
Yeah.
He's a flat earth.
He's not anymore.
Yeah.
He abandoned it, and he admitted he goes,
he?
I went down.
Like he goes, he's like, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think he went down a rabbit hole. Like but this is what I'm saying. Like you can go down a YouTube rabbit hole and watch these videos, and they make so much sense.
Oh yeah.
They'll tell you things, and they'll speak in this tone, and this is why it happened, and this is why you think this, and this is why it's a lie. And then you're like, wow, I've been lied to, and it's a mind fuck.
Yeah. I would like to see those guys' families, like just their family life. Like their daughter's like, I drew a picture, and you're like, I don't have time for this right now. The earth is flat. Like, I mean, just like the weight, if that was true, the weight they have to walk around with,
Right.
They feel like it's a lot.
Like they know.
They know something that
everybody else doesn't.
Everybody does it. That's how I always look at stuff is like if you do conspiracies, you tend to want to be more true than they're not. Like if you feel yourself wanting something to be like, I hope that's real, you're like, it's probably not real, dude. Like, because it's too good.
Right. That's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's
I
too
love
good.
Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot. I believe.
I watched this documentary the other day. I think it's called Missing Persons 411 Hunters or something like that. And what it's about, it's like a really screwy documentary. But the concept of the documentary is that there's been a bunch of people that just disappeared in the national forests. Is that it? Missing 411 the Hunted. Yeah.
Oh.
So in national forests, like there's people that have disappeared with no trace. And not a few of them, but really what it is just the vastness of the forest. I think people underestimate like how vast forests are.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've been to Oregon, Mount Hood.
Oh my God.
I told the cab driver, I go, you guys got a lot of trees here. That's how much I was overwhelmed by the trees.
Yeah.
Just on the ride there, is it uncomfortable? I was like, this is a lot of trees. He's like, all right.
Well, the thing about the Pacific Northwest is it's essentially a rainforest, like Mount Rainier, all those areas.
Yeah.
So the amount of water and nutrients in the soil is absurd. So the trees are they're like Q-tips in a box of Q-tips. Like you can't believe how dense they are. So if you saw a bear moving between those trees, you can convince yourself it was a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Especially if you saw a bear standing up on 2 feet, which they do all the time.
Yeah.
Bears walk on 2 feet all the time. There's tons of video of them doing it. So if you saw that in between trees from 100 yards away at dusk when it starts getting dark, and you're like, shit! And they make weird noises too. Like bears, especially when they're standing up, because a lot of times when they're standing up, they're trying to threaten other bears. So they're like moving towards them and making themselves bigger by standing up. And they'll make this noise like which sounds like a gorilla, right?
Yeah.
But there's tons of video I've seen it personally with my eyes in the woods. I've seen bears fight, and I've seen bears from 30 yards away stand up and go at each other like that. I've seen it, and I've seen them make those noises. They're threatening each other. But if you're in the woods and you see that, and it's dark out, and maybe you've never seen a bear before, and maybe you're just fucking out on a hike and you see that, you're like, oh my God, I saw a Bigfoot. And you will dedicate your whole life to like finding Bigfoot and finding proof. And the floor there in the forest is so thick with leaves and pine needles that when you step on it, it doesn't even leave a footprint. Yeah. It's just like a soft, like a composting pile. Like everything is just sort of deteriorating in these like thick layers of pine needles and leaves and sticks and branches. And you're not going to find footprints. You're not going to find anything.
Les Stroud?
Yeah.
He did that show about
Survivor Man Bigfoot, yeah.
But it just went away.
Bro, that show, I love Les Stroud. I love him. I love Survivor Man, but that show was so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
He had a guy on the show that is known in the Bigfoot world as being full of shit.
Yeah.
Which is bad. Like, if the Bigfoot world's pretty open-minded. I mean, this is one of the things that I wanted to bring up about that 411 The Hunted thing. There's audio recording that was supposedly taken from the 1970s from Northern California. I want to say Sonoma? I don't remember where it was. It was somewhere in Northern California, but they call them the samurai sounds. The samurai, and it's the weirdest shit ever, man. It's like these guys had this spot that they would go into the mountains and they would hunt every year. And they built this structure out there, and then they brought recording equipment, and they claim to have recorded sounds of these animals, these Bigfoot, and that these Bigfoot were around them all the time while they were up there. Now, what's crazy about it is the sounds are so weird. It sounds like someone pretending to be Japanese that doesn't actually speak Japanese. Yeah. Have you ever heard it? No. We'll play it for you. It's because it's the weirdest shit. It sounds so strange and so fake, but, you know, like they have these quote-unquote experts that say the human voice is not capable of making sounds remotely similar to this. The range is... Which doesn't make any sense if you know who Michael Winslow is. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I know.
That guy that guy went on...
He does a woman peeing when she goes to the bathroom.
He does everything.
Yeah, he does everything.
He did Led Zeppelin. He played Whole Lotta Love with his mouth. Yeah. And it sounds incredible. But this samurai sound, like, there's these loud whoops, and these guys are like in the foreground, you know, like the guys who are recording, they're trying to communicate with these things. They sound so calm. I mean, if there really was giant fucking 8-foot apes out there wandering around, like, you know, 200-300 yards away from you, screaming and whooping and talking, would you really, and you're in the woods, would you really be so calm? Wouldn't you be freaking the fuck out?
Oh, yeah.
These guys, do you have it?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I find the right thing because I'm stumbling across some traps.
Oh.
It's like people are fucking around on the internet.
I wish I could remember the gentleman's name.
Well, I think I have it. That's all I'm saying. So, Ronald J. Moorhead and Alan Berry, maybe? Is that right?
Yes, Ron Moorhead. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's it. The Sierra Mountains. That's what it is. All right. And so, it's the weirdest shit ever. Just listen to this. You're going to...
I read what it could be, but we'll listen first.
It could be bullshit.
Yeah,
That's what it could be.
That sounds like all aboard.
Listen to the guy. This is, hold on, stop. This is a terrible version of it. Wow. There's a better version of it where you can hear the guys really clearly. The people talking. I don't know why that's so scratchy. But they're like, they're over by the lake. Like they're talking like that. And they hear this very strange sound.
And they're being calm about it.
Yeah. And these, supposed vocal experts are analyzing it. The human body is incapable of making such sounds. And that area of... You got it?
I don't know. It says HD. I don't
know.
Okay,
we'll hear it.
In for Nightville.
Yeah. They're knocking. That's another thing that Sasquatch do. They knock. That one's weird. Scoot ahead a little bit and hear the samurai sounds. Still sounds terrible. Anyway, these people believe that shit. Les Stroud was balls deep in this.
With that guy.
Deep. Apparently, he had an experience, and I talked to him about his experience. It's pretty interesting. He was in, not with that guy, but he was in Alaska, and apparently he heard some crazy noises, like some monkey sounds outside of in the middle of nowhere. No one was anywhere near. And he said he heard something run away, some bipedal sound of something running away. But again, even though he's an experienced woodsman and he's a guy who's, camped out countless nights in the middle of nowhere and survives in the middle of nowhere and documents it. Like, he's the reason why those survivor shows exist.
Yeah.
Because that guy literally would starve to death and try to eat like bark and whatever the fuck he could for 7. You could see his face like sinking in. He was losing weight. I mean, he really did do that. He did all sorts of different things to try to survive, and then documented how he was doing it and what he would do. But he got obsessed with Bigfoot and then developed that Bigfoot show. And unfortunately, a lot of people lost a lot of faith in him because of that. They're like, no, you're the legit survivor guy, and now you're doing this show, and this is why it's ridiculous. There was one episode of the show where they had this guy who he was with who had video of a Sasquatch, like high definition video, and it looks so fake.
Yeah.
It's like he's like the Sasquatch is looking at him through the woods, and he's like, there he is. And it's a guy with a mask on.
That's how
I
he
mean,
goes. He yells out, "I'm a Sasquatch." You're like, oh god, he just yelled that out.
Oh, yo. Makes the samurai noise.
Bigfoot.
But this, the guy who had the video is known to be like full of shit. And here he's got this guy on a show, and then he, is this real? You be the judge. Like, yeah, I'm going to say it's not real. It's a guy with a fucking mask on.
I think I did read that guy was very not respected.
Yes.
In that.
By the Bigfoot community.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot community. Again, very open-minded.
Yeah. Very just into everything.
This other thing, like they would see trees that would fall over like in certain patterns, and they were convinced that Sasquatch was leaning these trees against each other.
I thought it was to let you know where not to go.
Yeah. They had this idea. I mean, it's all theory, right? This idea.
Yeah, I think I've been following the wrong guy, dude. I believe all the stuff that you like's fake. I'm like, yeah. I only watched that Les Stroud one because of that other guy.
Well, I want it to be real. That's the thing.
I do too.
If someone had a convincing Bigfoot encounter where they caught it on video, where I was like, "Holy shit, what is that? Like, what is that?" Or there was something, but there's nothing. Like I've talked to a lot of those people when I did this show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything for Sci-Fi, and me and Duncan Trussell actually went camping in the Pacific Northwest. We didn't really camp. We pretended to go camping, and then we went to a hotel.
Yeah.
And then we came back the next morning, like, well, rough night of camping. But we were out there for days trying to look for Sasquatch and talking to people that hunt for Sasquatch. And the one conclusion that we came to is it's a bunch of unfuckable white dudes. Like, that's
just out there. Yeah.
Just out there camping.
Yeah.
It's just, but the desire for it to be real is so strong.
It would change. I watched, like that Finding Bigfoot show. I used to always think, because people are like, why is it on? I'm like, I don't know, man, because it's fun to watch. And if they find him, the world is different now. If they come back with Bigfoot, everything's different.
Everything's different.
Everything's getting different with the alien thing.
Yeah.
The fact that they're saying that's like true, you're like, it's a lot, dude. That's a lot to take. If we get, I know that they have the videos and stuff of the aliens, but like if we get up straight up start talking to one, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, here's something that came out today, Jamie. I'm going to send you this because Sagar and Jetty from Rising on the Hill and I have been going back and forth with this, and I found this today and sent it to him. It's I'll send it to you right now, Jamie. It says, paradigm-shifting UFO tech that alters space-time is operable, U.S. Navy Chief Tech Officer. So it's some story that I didn't bother looking into because I saw it when I was on my way out the door. And I was like, what in the fuck is this? Because there's been all these sightings of these things that move in some weird way. Paradigm-shifting UFO tech. There's these things that move in this weird way that don't show any propulsion system. And, due to censorship, please join us on Telegram. I'm going to say, documents obtained by the Drive show the revolutionary technology that has capability to alter space-time may actually be operable, according to the Naval Aviation Enterprise Chief Technology Officer, Dr. James, how do you say that name? Sheehy? What do you think?
Operable in quotes. What is that?
I don't know. Good question. Reflect on why is technology that has the potential to change the entire human experience for the better always used for the defense purposes and military applications? What about the betterment of humanity? Yeah. I don't know. But it's Christopher Mellon, who's that guy who keeps coming up with all this UFO tech stuff. Can you scroll back up, please?
Someone's just like writing. I was reading through Twitter. It's like a story. It's not really like an article.
Right. Twitter feed of Christopher Mellon, the former Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary for Intelligence from 1997 to 2002. Doing so, I came across an interesting post from The Drive regarding documents they received via the Freedom of Information Act regarding a space-time modification weapon developed by the U.S. Navy, which apparently has already gone through experimental testing. This in turn led me to evidence suggesting that other revolutionary type of technology that could no doubt be used to change the world for the better, blah, 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 was already operable. Yeah, I don't know. But this is what, if you pay attention to the UFO world, do you pay attention to that shit at all?
Not like actively.
There's a guy named Bob Lazar. And
I do know that from, because you talked to him.
Yeah. It was one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had. Because you're like, I mean, are you crazy? Are you full of shit? Or is this real?
Yeah.
Because if it is real,
It's wild.
this thing is a special effect created, a guy who was a special effect artist. Do you remember his name, Jamie, who made this thing for us? This gentleman, he's got a designs by Perry at Instagram, and he created this thing, and this is like a scale model of what Bob Lazar supposedly worked on. He was hired by the United States military to work at Area S4, which is part of the Area 51, like Area 51 Site S4. Site 4 was this place where he allegedly worked to back engineer these spaceships. And the way these things moved around was exactly how this Christopher Mellon guy, or this article rather, that quoted him as describing, that they use some sort of gravity, space-time bending technology. So they didn't use a propulsion system like a rocket, which shoots flame out the back. They bent time in front of them and just would shoot instantaneously to wherever the fuck they wanted to go.
So you'd be like instantly be able to go.
Instantly. What's fucked is that there was an instance off of the coast of San Diego in 2004 where a Navy pilot by the name of Commander David Fravor, who I've also had on the show, experienced this thing that they call the Tic Tac UFO. They tracked it with radar. They tracked it with the camera systems on their plane, and they even have video footage of this thing. It went from 80,000 feet above sea level to 1 in a second.
Wow.
That's the amount of time that it takes radar to do the blip, 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 blip. So in that time, it traveled 80,000 feet. They have no idea how the fuck it did that. It shows no propulsion, heat signature. They took video footage of this thing, and it went from there. It took off where they couldn't even follow it with their eye, just disappeared to the predetermined destination where they were supposed to coordinate later. So it's like it's reading their tracking systems or reading where they were going. And the people that worked on the aircraft carrier were telling the fighter pilot, like, we've been seeing these things over, we see them like every couple weeks. We have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And they just say, well, there it is. What are we going to do about that?
Yeah. I like to picture an alien in that Tic Tac. He's like, whoa, slow it down, dude. You're kind of crazy right now. Like he's having a bad day in there. Because he's got to be having just a day. Whoever's in there, some kind of day. Maybe having a day. It's a lot to... Yeah, I don't know. You think it's like a lot to just tell people? Like if they had to be like, to tell like just Earth, all of us humans on Earth, to like wrap our head around what would happen?
I think, what do you say if that's all you know? Like if you are the military and all you know is that something can do these things, something can move at this speed. The New York Times had a front page article about it a couple of years ago. And basically they're saying, hey, there are videos of things moving in a way that we don't understand, that aren't exhibiting a heat signature that indicates a propulsion system. We don't know what it is. And then there's the COVID-19 bill that just got passed, and one of the provisions in the COVID-19 bill is that they have 180 days to release all the information they have about UFOs.
That's a lot,
But I don't know if they're going to do anything with. I think they're going to do nothing.
That's funny
with
that it's in this.
They go, yeah, we don't have anything.
COVID-19 bill.
Yeah,
like that's
a lot of weird shit was in the COVID-19 bill, like foreign aid. There's a lot of foreign aid to Pakistan, aid to all these countries. It's like people just to get it passed. They're like, okay, we'll say yes, but I want you to do a little favor for me and put this in the bill.
Yeah,
and there's it just shows you how greasy politicians are.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
But that's allegedly what all that UFO technology is.
Wow.
So if that's real, and if that article is based on anything that's even remotely true, that they're actually doing, the government is actually doing experiments on these things, and they have this technology, that would kind of explain whatever these things are that they're seeing. That instead of it being alien technology, it's some super high level military tests, and they figured out how to do some things that we don't understand yet. And the question is, how did they develop this stuff? Did they develop it from UFOs? Or is the UFO thing the cover-up because they have like some super high-tech weapon and they don't want other countries to know about it? So to mock it, they'll say it's like alien technology to make it seem
want you to believe it.
Ridiculous.
If we traveled like that, that'd be huge for road comics, just to go bounce around. Instantly.
No
just
jet
pop
lag.
In. Did you use that technology just to be like, where'd you go, Funny Bone?
Boom,
just to see, like,
you're in Denver.
Hey, Denver Comedy Works. I was just featuring.
Boom, you're in Poughkeepsie. Look, I'm at Bananas. Yeah.
I like to use that much technology for, which you do that even flying, for just the least amount of comics just doing dumb jokes.
Right.
You're using, people died over this technology.
Right.
And you're like, I just told some fart jokes on stage.
Well, what if they found out that some people died from it? Just like they think that some people die from vaccines, but it's a very small number in comparison to the people that it's going to help. What if some people died when they did this jump and they jump, to some other place? Some people just melted and they're like, hey, what happened to Tom? Oh, he's got that gene variant.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Tom's a puddle.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine people die for, like, they'd just be like, yeah. We've never done this before, dude. Like,
could be. Yeah. Maybe that's
a monkey. Don't they use monkeys a lot?
They used to, for space travel.
Do they just have them around?
Well, unfortunately, yes. They have them for medical research. They have them for all sorts of shit. Yeah, not good.
It's not good. It's tough being a monkey.
It's tough times.
Tough times.
They experiment with makeup on monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
put lipstick on a monkey.
Yeah.
Imagine the indignity. You're in a cage. You're locked up, and you
just lose
smart.
all your power.
Yeah. You're kind of smart.
Yeah.
You're not like people smart, but you're close.
Yeah.
You got hands, and you're holding on to the bars. Dude, I remember I went to a zoo once. I can't remember what city it was in, but I remember I was with my kids, and we walked by this monkey cage, and this monkey was by itself in a small cage screaming like a crazy person, like a person trapped, just wah, wah. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, this poor monkey wants to be in the jungle, wants to be swinging around on trees and eating fruit and having a good time with his monkey friends. Instead, he's alone in a cage being stared at by people all day long, just stared at.
And then you're like, then we took a picture, we got out of there. We go, all right, everybody get over there. You still do it because you're like, well, I'm here.
What am I going to do?
What am I going to do? It is, but don't they aren't sometimes like the I don't know, but you want to believe that these zoos are, it's like a lot of times it's animals that are hurt or that wouldn't survive. They tell you that. So you want to believe that you're not going to some crazy,
I don't know, man. I think there's some endangered species that are kept in zoos, and they can protect their numbers in a certain way in zoos. There's probably a better way to do it, though. There's probably a better way to do it. They would need a lot of land.
Pacific Northwest.
Let the gorillas
Let them
loose.
go. Yeah.
I think it's weird when one of the things that's weird, and this is a pragmatic way of looking at it, but kind of a fucked up way of looking at it, is most species that have ever lived have gone extinct.
Yeah.
If they can stop things from going extinct, what if the next step is bringing things back? Well, if they can bring things back, like what if they just start bringing back shit? Like a bunch of things.
Like a raptor.
Saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, saber-toothed tiger.
Start bringing shit back. Why not? People would be excited for sure. But then what are we doing? Like, if we're just going to keep... Like, I'm not saying we should let things go extinct, and I'm definitely not saying we should allow human beings' actions to make things go extinct and do nothing to prevent it. But I am saying there's an inevitability of life. And I don't think we want to accept that, because I think human beings, because we have a finite lifespan, we have a finite life. We know it's going to end. We are fearful of that. We're fearful of animals dying as well. Fearful of losing animals. We're fearful of, like, we can't stop all things from going extinct, because things went extinct way before people were ever around.
Yeah.
They just don't work right in the new environment, and the environment changes and evolves.
It's
and
probably a good
ecosystems.
thing. T-Rex not being
Yeah.
here is that's a big deal.
Probably.
It's a lot easier to do things.
What about one of them? Just one of them on Jurassic Park.
That we just leave. Well, they,
On an
just,
island.
they have one. They go, we let him loose in America, so y'all just deal with that every day. Like, you just don't know where he's at. That's just how they go, all right, we brought one back.
Did you guys check the app before we went on vacation to see where Godzilla is?
Yeah, where is he at? There's a place you can drive from Louisville, Kentucky to Nashville when you're driving down 65. And they have a life-size Tyrannosaurus Rex on the side of the road. But I always like seeing it because you're always like, how big was it? Like, when you walk around, you want to see a tree to be like, can you imagine that tree just being, it was like a
giant
lizard that would just eat your car. And you gotta.
Have you been in a museum of natural history, and looked at those giant skeletons?
Yes,
of them? Yeah.
It's enormous.
Yeah. I think it's hard to imagine, because you're seeing a skeleton. It's sort of this framework of what a thing is, and I kind of get it. But if they had one that they did up, like special effects style, and made it really look like a T-Rex, like, they don't really know what a T-Rex actually look. They think they might have had feathers. Do you know that?
No, I bet they wouldn't appreciate it though. the T-Rex,
They think that a lot of dinosaurs were in fact in the bird family. Because a lot of birds today, they exhibit a lot of the things, a lot of characteristics that dinosaurs had. They think that
That's a lot. That's more than I've ever heard.
Really?
We're in a whole, I don't know how much I've talked about dinosaurs, to be honest. But, like, I don't know how many conversations I've been in, but that's never been sprung on me.
One of my kids is, my youngest daughter is obsessed with dinosaurs. She knows a lot about them. She knows a lot about weird shit. Yeah, but that's what birds are. Birds are basically dinosaurs that lived.
Wow.
Like chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens are like survival. They've even found really recently some fossils that show feathers, because up until now it was a theory. But then they found dinosaur fossils with fossilized feathers that indicate this dinosaur was like a bird, that it was covered in feathers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were, that any of that was true.
Yeah. They have there's a life-size version of a raptor that's in a museum in Bozeman, Montana. And on one side, it shows what it would look like if it was like a lizard, like a crocodile or something. And on the other side, it shows it covered in feathers. And it goes over this theory that they might have had feathers, that they might have been.
I love that they have both those up there. Like, it's like being like, we don't know for sure, but like, it's probably one of those two.
It's pretty dope. See if you can find that. You got it? Yeah, it's pretty dope. Because why not? Well, why wouldn't they have feathers? I mean, there it is. That's what they think it might have looked like.
Okay, yeah.
But on the other side, they'll show it. Does it show the other side too?
Yeah, but there's a high school there. Their team name is the Raptors, so I'm looking it up. That's all.
Oh, yeah, in Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So one side of it, I think I'm right. I think one side of it was.
We've definitely looked it up before. That's why it came up so quick. But that's
most I know
hard
is
to
from
find out.
Jurassic Park. So
That's it. That's all you know about dinosaurs.
yeah, they showed that movie in class, and then they go, "All right, that's good." Called it a day, and then
There it is. How much stupid shit do you pay attention to? Do you watch stupid movies? Like, you gonna watch King Kong versus Godzilla?
I can watch some of that. Yeah, I'm not like, I've never been the craziest superhero fan or that kind of stuff, but I can definitely, like, if it catches me right, I'm like, yeah, I'll see what's going on with this. Like, why not? You'll see what's happening.
Were you a comic book fan when you were a kid?
No, I was never not the giant. I'm a big sports fan. Like, I like sports, stuff like that. I watched golf. We were talking about that earlier. UFC, I've got into. I think UFC. I went as a regular guy that watched sports. UFC does right now, I think, the best job of like getting me. like getting the me's of the world that just I'm used to. I know football, baseball, basketball, golf. Like I know kind of the main ones, and I think UFC is doing the greatest job in all of sports to attract me. Like, and I would think I'm an average American. Just in
How they've done that? What, like
you guys talking about how good people are is big. So once I found out like that John Jones, I love like once in a lifetime athletes. When you get like a LeBron, Michael Jordan, you get these things that you're like, we're lucky to even get to see a guy like this.
right.
And so then I see that John Jones is that, and I hear about John Jones being that. Like George GSP. I never saw GSP. I saw him fight Bisping was the only fight, and I know that he's a great, but UFC wasn't in my world
Back then.
when
he was a champ.
Yeah, and so I go John Jones. I think Conor McGregor's probably in a sense of like this kind of Tiger Woods of just getting people excited about this sport that you're like, well, I love this dude. This dude's crazy, which then introduced me to Khabib. So then I see Khabib, and now I'm fascinated by Khabib because you're like, oh, him and John Jones are these once in a lifetime kind of guys, and so like, why I love that, and I want to watch these I want to watch because I'm like, these guys they're not normal, and so I should be seeing these, and I think UFC does that. I understand Usman when he said like, show some respect to my name. I get it because I almost didn't. I watched the fight, but I almost didn't. If I had something come up, I might not have watched it because Usman's not. I didn't know completely, and then after I watched it and I hear y'all talk about him and you explain how good this guy really is, I'm like, oh, I'll never miss another fight of him now.
Yeah,
because it, we don't know anything about the sport really. So when you're telling me like, hey, you're lucky to be. In a sense, but we're lucky to be watching these guys.
Right.
This is not normal.
Right.
John Jones was when he fought Daniel Cormier. Like I didn't know really Cormier, right? And I didn't really know him. So I see John Jones beat him, and then I'm like, okay. And then Daniel Cormier fights
Stipe Miocic.
the one he beat,
Yeah.
and he destroyed him. And then I go, oh, that's how good John Jones is. Like I'm like, because John Jones looked so dominant.
Yeah.
And then I see Daniel, and you're like, oh, Daniel's like one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that guy's even like putting these pieces together is huge.
Yeah, champions that beat champions.
And when that gets explained, I think UFC's doing the best job of explaining that kind of thing. The press conferences, I'll watch every Dana White press conference. No one talks like that, dude. I watch all these sports. It's the same answers. As is Tom Brady going to retire? I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. It's the same, like, who cares answer. It's pointless to add. And Dana White, like, after the Conor fight, they're like, did you talk to Khabib? He's like, yeah, I just called him. Khabib said, none of these people are on my level. You're like, why? I've never heard a precedent tell me what the guy said.
Right.
That's like the only thing that's the answer you want to know. And Dana like just tells you. He'll be like, I'm about to go have dinner with him. You're like, well, I don't think I should. I've never heard the owner of the Cowboys tell me that. Like, he never, he never told me like I'm about to go talk to this guy.
Dana White he's like one of those guys that has fuck you money and actually says fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a rare
that
person.
shows.
Yeah.
And so I got my friends now and I'm like, hey, we got to watch this fight.
Yeah.
Now I know more.
He fits the sport,
Fits the sport perfectly.
because the sport's just a wild sport and he's a wild president.
Yeah.
As far as someone who's like in control of a gigantic sports organization, the way he talks and how much he swears.
It's not normal. No, they don't. I mean, yeah, how much like but that's what makes it good.
Yeah, you can't have like politically correct people running a cage fighting organization.
No. yeah.
It's just like too ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they don't make sense together.
It doesn't.
Usman is actually fighting Jorge Masvidal in a full arena next month, which is fucking crazy. So I might have to cancel shows in May, folks. I might get the cooties.
Yeah.
This might be the time.
I'm
gonna fill up with vitamins and
full
God knows what
audience.
else. Yeah,
and
15,000 people.
It's. I mean,
Yeah.
and to see them, they just fought, but he filled in for him, right?
Well,
Like
what
that.
happened was a short notice fight where Masvidal took the fight on 6 days' notice, and everyone says that Usman dominated him, which he definitely won. Usman definitely won the fight. There's no question. But Masvidal had some moments in that fight, particularly standing up, where he caught Usman with some good shots.
At the very beginning,
Yeah.
right? Where it was like,
Yeah.
it looked like he was in trouble.
He definitely had his moments. And when you consider the fact that the guy didn't have any time to prepare, like no time, six days notice to take the fight, it would be a curious fight to see as a rematch. However, there's a lot of other people in the division that are also elite. And then there's the conversations like, are they having this because it's the most marketable fight? Are they having this because they think he deserves it after he took the fight on short notice? There's a lot of good arguments in that way. Like, hey, a guy puts on a very good performance with 6 days notice. How's he going to do it 6 weeks or 8 weeks? How's he going to do with a real camp?
Yeah.
I don't know how much time he's even had to prepare. I don't know if he's had 6 weeks. I mean, from now to the fight is what, 5 weeks? How many weeks is it from now until that UFC card, the big one in Florida?
Are the camps like? Is it that crazy when he has to go fight when Usman just has to change and go fight another guy because you're preparing for his style? Is that what you're preparing for? Like,
Yes.
hey, this dude likes to punch.
You also need recovery time. Like,
Yeah.
he just had it was a quick knockout. It was a second round knockout with Gilbert Burns. But he did have some moments in the first round where he got cracked and he got dropped. And then he also did go through a long training camp. And when you go through long training camps, there's always injuries. Guys tweak their neck or they fuck their knee up or their ankle gets rolled. There's always something. And you don't know about that. Like, for instance, when Usman fought Masvidal the first time, he had a broken nose going into the fight. So his nose was broken, like, in the fight. Like, as the fight, like, he broke it 2 weeks before the fight. So he had a broken nose to start with.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So there's
And they don't check. Like, do they?
They don't check.
Like, if he wants to fight, it's like that's his.
I mean, the only way to check a broken nose is to get an X-ray. When
Yeah.
you look at his nose looks fine. He's got a crack in it.
Yeah.
You know, like, how are you gonna know? You're not gonna know. So after the fight, they go, "Hey, you got a broken nose." It's like, "Yeah, I had that already."
yeah.
Like, he had.
It's like underlining conditioning.
But also, and he got hit a lot in that fight because Masvidal can crack. So, and Masvidal's a really good striker. He's very clever.
But Usman is that high level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like
He's lost once his whole career, never lost in the UFC, and literally maybe has only lost 1 or 2 rounds ever in his career. I mean, you could make the argument that maybe he lost the first round of the Gilbert Burns fight, but towards the end of that first round, he was kind of beating Burns up, and Burns was on the ground. But he did get dropped with some big punches. But then he wound up, enforcing his will and pushing his will onto Gilbert. So you could make an argument that maybe Gilbert might have squeaked that round by, but maybe not. But then the second round, he smashes him. He's a monster. He's so physically strong. His mind is so strong. That guy's knees are so fucked up, man. They're so fucked up he can't run.
Wow.
He has to do all kinds of different forms of cardio because his knees were so mangled. He told me that when he was when he would walk after training, he wouldn't walk on the sidewalk. He'd have to walk on the grass because it hurt his knees to walk on the sidewalk.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
But he gets in there, you don't notice it. You don't.
I've never even heard that. So
His idea is, listen, I'm just gonna wear these motherfuckers out while I'm the champ, and then I'll get my knees replaced when I get older.
well, that's when I looked up like who he would fight next because then you look, like I don't, it's like it's hard to sometimes even tell their weight classes because sometimes you see a guy you're like, what's this guy like 190, like he's 120 pounds. You're like, oh, he's just jacked.
Yeah.
He's on TV, so I don't know. Because I didn't realize like Israel Stylebender, like he's like pretty tall. Like I didn't realize how big he was.
right.
And you're like, oh, he's a pretty big dude. But like they're in that weight class. But Khabib and Usman could never fight. Like they're too far. I think he said he wouldn't fight him.
Well, Khabib is
respects
170. Usman is Khabib is 155. Usman's 170. Khabib could fight at 170 if he wanted to. He just wouldn't cut as much weight. He's not the same size as Usman, but he absolutely could compete at 170 if he wanted to. But he's done. He's retiring.
Yeah.
He's retired.
I knew that. Yeah.
His father died. His father got COVID and died, and he made a promise to his mother that he would stop fighting after this last fight. So he beat Justin Gaethje, defended his title, 29-0, and he's like, "That's it, I'm done." And the UFC's been trying to talk him into fighting again, but so far,
He would have to see a reason to come back.
yeah. I mean, he's a simple living guy. I mean, he's a complex person, but he drives a Toyota truck.
Yeah.
He's a millionaire, multimillionaire. He drives a fucking like a regular car, lives in the same house he's lived in forever. He's very religious, devout Muslim. So he doesn't have any need for wealth or riches, and he's beloved in his country. I mean, he's a hero.
Yeah,
Why not?
I imagine.
Why not go out on top? And also, why not go out with all your faculties intact, millions of dollars in the bank? That's the dream. The dream of every fighter is to go out an undefeated champion with millions of dollars in the bank at the top of your game, in your prime, not when your skills are starting to deteriorate, not when you're taking too many shots, but go out on top.
Yeah.
And that's what he's decided to do. And I salute that. I think it's awesome. I would love to see him fight again just because I'm a fan, because he's a monster. But I love the fact that he decided not to.
He's so like, I've enjoyed when I found out about him to really get to watch him, just because it was like, oh, this guy, I'm watching Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And so like, then you start getting really into it. And then, I mean, with Justin Gaethje was I was like, oh, Justin Gaethje looked so good against Tony Ferguson. I don't know anything about fighting, but I'm like, he looks crazy. This is going to be crazy. And then it's just really not, because Khabib is unreal.
He's unreal. He mauls people.
I think
Smashes people.
women division too. That's another thing. UFC is basically the only, sport I'm really watching, like excited for women fights. Like these big names, and UFC does an amazing job at that. And I always think that's pretty crazy to be like, you're just not used to that as a sports fan. The WNBA or something. Not that you don't like these sports, but you just don't tend to watch them.
Don't get pumped up about
don't get pumped up.
professional women's
and
sports.
I bought Ronda Rousey. I mean, Ronda Rousey was a big kind of that.
Well, she was the one who made it.
Yeah.
She made it big.
Yeah.
And before her, Gina Carano, who, got in trouble.
Oh,
recently.
yeah. Oh, that's where she came. Oh,
that's where she came from.
Yeah.
That whole fucking ridiculous shit with the Mandalorian.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Claressa Shields is obviously, if you follow boxing, most people follow boxing know who she is, but she's the only one in that boxing world, and she's a multiple-time world champion. She's won in multiple divisions. She won the gold medal in the 2012 and then again in the 2016 Olympics, and now she's an undefeated professional boxer, and she's the elite of the elite. She's gonna fight in MMA now. She's doing both for a while, and she's going to fight in June in her first MMA fight. There's an organization called the PFL, and she was on here yesterday, and that's one of the things that Claressa was talking about, was that in boxing they don't really promote women's fights, other than really hers is the only one, and she feels that's underpromoted. But that's why women's boxing just doesn't have the same value as women's MMA. Because women in MMA, they make great money, and there's big stars,
Big stars.
Yeah, it's huge.
Holly Holmes, I mean, I'd watch all her fights after that, like after the Ronda Rousey thing.
Amanda Nunes is a huge star.
Is she, though? Amanda Nunes is no one can beat her?
She's a destroyer.
Yeah.
She's a destroyer. I mean, it's not that no one can beat her, because she has lost in the past. I mean, Kat Zingano stopped her in a UFC fight. But she fucked Kat up so bad that Kat was having hormone imbalances after the fight.
That's crazy.
Had brain damage after the fight, and had to go and have this magnetic treatment on her brain that they do to soldiers after they get blown up. Wild shit, man. That's how hard she hits. The first round, she had Kat in all sorts of trouble, but Kat survived and then went on to stop her. It was a wild fight. I'll never forget it. Just I'll never forget the end of the fight. Kat, after she stopped the fight. After the referee stopped the fight, she screamed but it was like from her DNA. It was like primal.
Yeah.
It was like one of the most bone-chilling screams I've ever heard a woman fight. And Kat Zingano is fierce. She's always been fierce. But to hear her scream like that was like, whoa, to this day, I'll listen to that and go, God, just imagine where she was on the brink of defeat, taking all sorts of crazy punishment from the biggest striker in terms of knockout power in bantamweight history. That's Amanda Nunes. I mean, she starches women. And play this so you can hear this. Dude,
that's crazy.
That's not fake.
Yeah.
That's from her DNA,
Yeah.
That was primal.
Well, it's like they're in their own.
Oh my
She wouldn't
God.
even probably remember that whole experience. Like you would not even know what's going on.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It was a wild fight. So
Did you get into UFC or that kind of fighting? Was it around like where you could watch it? I know Horace Gracie. I kind of remember hearing about that. Like,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I guess.
I saw it. The first one I saw was in 93 or 4. I saw it after the first event had aired, and I'm pretty sure I watched the second one. I heard about it, but I didn't see it live. And then I saw the second one. I'm 99% sure I got it from a video store. Like they had it for rent at a video store. It was UFC 2. Because I don't believe they had the rights to have UFC 1 back then. I think you could only get UFC 2 on video. And I remember watching it and watching this fairly slim Brazilian guy just strangle all these people.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, holy shit, I got to learn that.
Yeah.
And it was what everybody always wanted from martial arts. Everybody always wanted the really talented small guy to be able to beat the much bigger, stronger guy. But the reality of striking is that doesn't really exist very often. Most of the time, bigger, stronger people fuck up smaller, better people.
Like they couldn't. That's why the weight classes are so important.
Yes.
Because they can't. They're just because they're at such a high level that they like if I hit you, it's going to hurt way worse than you know. Yeah.
Just bone structure. That's just an insurmountable obstacle. And it doesn't mean that a smaller person that's super talented can't beat a bigger person that's stronger and faster but not as talented. It is possible, even with strikers. But most of the time, it's too dangerous. You'll never see a welterweight champion fight the heavyweight champion. Like, you just won't see it. Even if you get like an elite like Terrence Crawford, super top of the food chain, lighter weight champion, he's not going to fight Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
It's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
They're too big. But in the UFC, that's exactly what happened. You saw this 175-pound guy who is not like intimidating physically. I mean, he looks like an athlete, but he's not like big and jacked. And he was arm-barring these guys that were 100 pounds more than him. It was crazy. Yeah. And to watch that was like, this was what everybody always wanted from martial arts. They wanted technique and skill to overcome all of these advantages that someone would have in size and power.
It was like, I would ask, so I'm started too with Luis J. Gomez, and so Luis was a big reason too, Luis and Dave with MMA, because they were such big fans of it. So like back in New York, they would always talk about it, and too, that was a big part of it, like kind of hearing about it, being like, what's going on? But I remember talking to Bisping with Luis once. I was always fascinated too with the confidence that they can walk around with. Like, no one really knows, like, the confidence that, like, we asked Bisping, you're just never scared of anybody. Like, nobody's, when you walk, I'm not in the, you don't want to, not that he wants to fight anybody.
Right.
But you don't have, if I walk around and there's a bigger guy near me, you're just like, if that guy wanted to fight, like, hit me, like, he just can.
Yeah.
And so Bisping, and I was like, you just don't ever feel that? He's like, no, I don't know. And, like, he just walks around, dude. Yeah. And we're like, I mean, could you kill someone? But he's like, yeah, you know. And we were like, how long? And I think he was like, 10 seconds or something like that. You're just like, jeez, dude, like, that's crazy, dude. Like, and that's like what you love is to be like, that's, you know, when you watch those guys, you're like, yeah, what's that like? What's it like to go to a mall and see a pack of 40 teenagers walk up to you and just be like, I mean, walk right through them, but I will destroy all of you. Like, it doesn't matter. It's I don't know. It's like, I don't know if it's like a guy feeling that you want.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like, it's like a superpower.
Yeah.
Like, every guy wishes that he was that guy. Like, that's why the Hulk was always such a popular comic book. Like, you're picking on this little skinny guy. If you make him mad, then this fucking gigantic guy comes out of his body and smashes everybody. I mean, that was...
One time I saw Tyron Woodley at Disney World when we were there. But I always thought about this. But I do love, like, I think he was with his family and his daughter or something. His daughter was like, I don't know, just told him, like, no, was like, no. Like, you know, being a kid.
Right.
Just a kid, like, if she's 5, whatever she is, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. And she's just like, kind of says no to him. And I remember just thinking, that guy can beat up every human in this park.
Yeah.
But what I love shows of him as a parent, that is, I always love that his daughter, who's the smallest of all of us at this park, is the least scared of that guy. And we are all deathly scared of it. Like, it shows like a family, like you're a good parent. Like she's just like
a human.
She's a human, and she looks at it as like, I don't care who you are. That's my dad. And you want to walk over and be like, could you? If he gets upset though, he's going to hit one of us, and we're all gonna. We will all pay for it.
He would never though. That guy is the friendliest guy ever.
He is.
He's very friendly.
Well, that's why you can shows up that he's a great parent. And I love it. Because I don't know, I always just love that dynamic. It's funny to be like, the only person not scared of him is this tiniest little girl that's like, no.
Tyron's doing something. He's involved in the weed game now. He's been hanging around a lot with Be Real from Cypress Hill, and he's always doing things with them. He was on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. And
that's the weed game is...
The weed game.
The weed game is like a real thing. My buddy Soder, Dan Soder, he'd always talk about that because he's from Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, he'd just be like, losers... I think he had a joke about it. He's like, losers are doing that in high school are like multi-millionaires now because they just waited it out, and now they have like a real company that's selling. Yeah,
yeah. I've been offered to get into business, but I'm like, until it's federally legal, that's an attack vector. Like, if you really have some multi-million-dollar weed company, like, wow, is that legal? How legal is this?
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of people making money, but there's a lot of situations where they can't even deposit. Like, they have to have cash. Like, they have cash-only businesses in some places. At least they did for a while. Where, like, they were hiring special forces guys to guard cash from these dispensaries in Colorado. When Colorado was one of the first states that went open.
Yeah.
I think it was Colorado, Washington State, and a couple other ones that made it legal early on. And when they first did it, one of the big dilemmas was they couldn't get credit cards. They couldn't get banks to use credit cards with them, so no one could pay with anything other than cash. So they had these places where, you know, they're doing insane amounts of business. They have weed tourism that was in Denver, and they'd have lines around the block of people paying cash, and then someone would come in with a ski mask on and fucking rob them. So, and then there was also people that were leaving the bank with bags of cash and taking it to the bank. Leaving the dispensary with bags of cash and taking it to the bank. And they knew that there was cash in these cars, so they had to have like guys with like black sedans following them with armed guards in the truck. It was a very complicated sort of a situation.
Wow.
Where they were very vulnerable.
Because no one wanted anything to do with them.
It wasn't that they didn't want anything to do with them. They wanted the money. Like, the banks took the money because it was legal in the state, but it's not federally legal, right? So if you have a company like Citibank or a company like, you know, American Express, they're not going to let you use credit cards to buy weed because and then what if they get in trouble? Because it's a weird gray area, because when things are federally Schedule 1, Schedule 1 is the most illegal. And that's what marijuana is, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because it's legal in how many states now, Jamie? 19 or some shit?
That's what I wanted to say, 19 or 21 or something.
And it's legal medically, and I think it's legal in Texas medically, but I think you have to have like something really wrong. Like, you have to have like full on like paralyzing epilepsy or something.
It wasn't like in LA when they'd always, I always just heard comics like, I just could tell a doctor, you're like, I have restless leg syndrome. He's
headaches,
whatever.
Can't sleep, anxiety. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
They said no to no one. Yeah. My doctor, I had this great doctor that I went to, and he had dreadlocks. And do you know what a volcano is?
I think so.
It's a vaporizer. And
yes.
It's a weird one because the way a volcano works, it looks like a volcano, like a steel version of it, like an industrial volcano. And then on the top of that, you attach this nozzle that attaches to a giant plastic bag, like this plastic bag. Most plastic bags that they would vaporize with would be, you know, like a foot and a half, 2 feet high. This fucking dude had a 5 foot long bag. I walked into this place. This was when weed was really shaky. It was real weird. It was like, I'm talking like 1999, 2000. Like, I was going to one dispensary that was in Inglewood. Inglewood is it could be sketchy. It could be a dangerous part of town. And the Inglewood Wellness Center was the place that I used to go to. But the guy that I used to go and buy weed from got shot. So the same sort of situation. You had to pay with cash. I think you had to pay with cash back then. But either way, he gets robbed and shot. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to that place anymore. So I found this new one. And I walk in, doctor's got dreadlocks, 5 foot tall, like enormous bag filled up with weed vapor. I mean, just like a cloud. And he looks at me and goes, "You look sick." He goes, "You need medicine." He told it onto this thing, and we were just laughing.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? This is so crazy. So we got high with this guy, and he takes me back to the grow room. And when you're super duper high and you walk into a grow room, one of the weird things is like, I mean, maybe it's just me being high, but I felt like they were intelligent. Like I'm in this room and there's all this artificial light and there's all these vibrant, healthy pot plants. Because these guys had like a super sophisticated operation. It was a big ass room, like as big as that opening area on the front of this studio. And you walk in there and there's like hundreds and hundreds of plants and all these lights. And you walk in and it's almost they're like, hello. Like the plants are saying hi to you. They felt, granted, I'm out of my mind high. Like this, I
could go back to this. You're in your car the whole time. Yeah.
Well, no, we stayed there for hours.
Yeah.
There was no way I was driving. We were there. We were there for a long time. It was great, but it was like that then. Like, and by the way, I was not famous back then. Like I was on a television show. Guy probably didn't know. He didn't give a fuck. They were just friendly. Like that's the thing about super high people. Like either they're real paranoid, they don't want to talk to anybody, or they're real friendly. And this guy was real friendly, and everybody there was real friendly. They were all just really cool, and they're like showing me how the water drips into the plants and keeps them healthy, and how they have this sort of irrigation system set up. And I was like,
I mean, to see that back then,
yeah,
you had to because it felt so illegal.
Yeah,
back then.
Yeah, super illegal.
Yeah,
but not because it was legal in the state. And I did have a license. I did have a medical prescription because I get headaches.
That's so crazy.
I get headaches, bro.
You're like, I don't know.
And also, I've had a bunch of surgeries. It does help with pain, you know. What really helps me, though, is CBD, which is non-psychoactive.
Yeah, that's what always I hear about CBD.
Oh, it's great if you have, like, arthritis or sore joints or shit like that. It's great for it. It's great for some people. It really helps with anxiety. It helps them sleep and shit. But back then, there was no one even knew what the fuck CBD was. People were just getting high. You know, and for a lot of people, like it changed their life. People that were cancer patients that were going through chemotherapy that lost all their appetite, they would smoke weed and they would have their appetite back, and then they'd be able to eat and they'd feel better. People slept better. You know, it's like it doesn't work with everybody. Some people, it's just not a good drug for. It just doesn't. Yeah. Do you smoke weed?
No.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
I love it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, the idea of it. You know, I always think about that, like. If you had like my daughter, like would I rather her drink or smoke weed? Like, you know, because it's like alcohol is crazy. Alcohol, I mean, it can lead to being violent, to being, you know, these car wrecks, not that I'm sure weed has that stuff too, but by the time she's 8, so by the time let's say she's 21, I mean, who knows? Weed might be way more acceptable versus I'm still from the era that you feel like it's bad.
I think one of the problems with weed is that, first of all, no one who's growing up, no one whose mind is developing should be doing any hardcore shit. They shouldn't be taking alcohol. They shouldn't be taking marijuana. They just shouldn't be. It's not good for you.
We give both that to our daughter. We're trying to let her choose now.
Well, kids are gonna they're gonna do it. They're gonna do something.
Yes.
But neither one is good for you. Like if you're 16, you're getting high every day. That's not good.
No,
it's not good. If you're 16, you're getting drunk every day. That's not good either.
Yeah.
Both those things are bad. But at least with alcohol, like a shot is a shot, right? You go to a store, you buy a bottle of whiskey, you take a shot of whiskey. It's what it is. With pot, you could have a cookie. You don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea. It could be 20 milligrams, or it could be 250 milligrams. Joey Diaz sits around dosing people all the time. He gives them these stars of death that are 250 milligrams, and you see people losing their mind. Like they think they're in another dimension.
Yeah, they just have, but you would feel trapped, right? Like you just feel like I started having claustrophobia, and I'd imagine it feels like a lot of like that.
Right, but for Joey, it's awesome. He doesn't give a fuck. He can eat 3 or 4 of those and just laugh his ass off.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And if he does get paranoid, like he gets over it.
What if you overdosed on weed? What
You
is it
can't.
that you can't?
No, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
No. I mean, unless you have like a very peculiar biology. Maybe I shouldn't say it's not going to kill you, but I have never heard of a single human being ever dying from marijuana. Now, does that mean they haven't died from decisions they've made when they're high?
You gotta try to fly while he jumps off a building.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to you at the.
Yeah, if you
at
get
that
really
level.
high and you drive off a cliff, I mean, I'm sure people have done shit when they're high, but people have done how many things have people done when they're on Ambien?
Yeah.
Nobody's scrambling to make that illegal.
Yeah, they give them to them on planes.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
he's just walking around.
Oh, people lose their marbles on that shit, and they sleepwalk and say things they don't even know they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Chris Pratt. He takes Ambien, and he was telling me all the wacky shit that he'll text people when he's on Ambien, and then the next day they go, "Hey man, what the fuck? What was last night about?" He's like, "Huh? What are you talking about?"
yeah.
And they'll show him. He's like, "Oh, dude, I was on Ambien. I don't know what the fuck I
I
said."
don't know, yeah.
Kevin James, he cooked a meal. He went downstairs. I think he went to the supermarket, bought food, cooked a meal, and then woke up in the morning and wanted to call the police.
Because
Because someone broke into his house and cooked.
It'd be great if someone did do it, and then but he still thinks it's Ambien. Some guy's like, dude, I almost got caught one time.
Yeah, I went to Kevin's house.
We went to Kevin's house,
cooked a turkey.
Turns out he has Ambien, and I
Yeah.
just blamed it on that.
Oh, it's not good, man. For some people, they have this because it doesn't really give you the same sleep either. Like it puts you in this weird state where you don't like it just knocks you out. Mm-hmm. You know.
I would always have trouble sleeping, but a lot of it for me is like food. Like, I mean, I'll eat Sour Patch Kids and drink soda at 11 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, I'll go to the doctor, like, why can't I go to sleep at night? Like, I'm like, I have so much trouble. And you're like, yeah, dude, you're throwing nonsense into your body.
Yeah, that's not good.
No,
Sugar
it's
at
not.
night's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
I'm quitting drinking diet soda on the day on the 18th.
Really?
And I drink a lot of diet soda, and I'm kind of convinced that I think it leads to me to bad decisions. So I'll eat candy. I mean, dude, it's bad, dude. I got like coming here. I just went and had barbecue right when I got here, and then I had a
Where'd you
hamburger. Cooper's. It was just like it was the only one. A lot of them were closed. Some of them were closed on Monday or something.
Oh, really?
And then a few were closed. I couldn't really figure it out. Like I looked at just online. So the Cooper's is supposed to be. I don't know. It says they
supposed
all
to be
got
good?
good reviews. They all have like really good reviews, like old time Cooper's or something. So I went in there and ate, and then it's like I just eat. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to eat good. Like I don't come from. Growing up in Nashville, we ate just all chain stuff. Like that's all I know how to wrap my head around.
Chain food?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I met my wife at Applebee's. I mean, I don't know, dude, my whole life goes through chain stuff. I mean,
So when you go on the road, do you see chain stores and you go, chain restaurants? You go, oh,
every
comfort.
second of it, dude. I walk through every mall in America. It's the greatest time of my life. I love them all so much.
What's number one?
At a mall?
Yeah, what's the number one chain
Oh, number one chain I go to.
that you would?
We started going to Outback. It's like you come into a little more money, you go to Outback a little bit more. You go no. I still love Applebee's. I love them, every one of them. Buffalo Wild Wings. I like. You watch a lot of fights there. Watch big games there.
There you go.
I go to
It's hard to fuck up good wings.
McDonald's. I'm a giant.
Really?
I think we should show McDonald's more respect. It's the most successful restaurant in the
Put some
world.
Respect on a name.
Why don't you walk in? Yeah, wear a tuxedo when you go in. Don't be you go in there with pajamas like you're just some loser. Like we're lucky they open the door to us.
I'm a big fan of filet-o-fishes.
I love them.
If I'm coming home from a late night comedy show and I'm hungry and I'm like, fuck it, I get 2 filet-o-fishes
Oh, it's the greatest.
because it's easy. You get them quick. Somehow.
What do you
they
do on the
magically have 'em
road?
Prepared.
Like, what would you do on the road? Before now, I know the road is so much different. Is like when you get into theaters, you get into arenas, stuff gets different. But like when you were doing comedy clubs, would you just go eat somewhere? Like you just go find a real restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Waffle House. I'll do Waffle House.
So, are you eating bad though, or
It depends. I
Yeah.
don't eat bad every day, but I do eat bad.
Yeah.
But I don't do it every day. I try to limit the amount of times I eat bad, but I do eat bad.
Yeah.
See, I just think food should be 2 things. It should be nutrition, and it should also be enjoyment. And you got to separate those things. You got to know when you're eating nonsense, but you're just enjoying it. Like, oh, this is so good. But and then you feel like shit. You gotta take your lumps because you eat like an ice cream sundae and a cheeseburger with fries, and it feels like you got hit with a tranquilizer dart. You're like, oh.
I had a pecan brownie and chocolate ice cream last night. And I feel amazing though this morning. I do feel it as I'm 41, and it's like the second you turn 40, dude, you're like, this is crazy. Like you feel that tiredness. It just affects you. My body's trained right now. It's like not trained, but it's like I can handle some bad food way more than most people because I'm eating it so regularly.
Right.
I mean, I have a very I let myself you get hungry where you don't know what to do, and I'm starving. And so then my brain only goes to eating out.
Right.
Like, I don't have food. Like, my wife will cook, but it's not like I just have something at home. I just get to the point of where you're just too starved, and then you make no good decision.
Late night is always the worst for me because I'll eat when I'm not even hungry. I'm just bored.
Yep.
Like I'm writing or something, or I'm watching TV. I'll just go grab some potato chips. And then next thing you know, I'm half a bag in. And I'm like, oh, what have I done? I didn't even need I wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
I just was forcing salty things in my mouth. And then you get a few in there. And you're like, oh, let's keep going.
This is the
let's
best.
keep going until we get sick.
Yeah. It's the greatest thing ever, dude. Is diet soda not
good?
Yeah, it's not good, right?
Well, they say it actually. I've read a bunch of shit on it. First of all, aspartame is supposed to be not good for you. It's very sketchy. But apparently you have to drink a lot of it for it to be dangerous. And when they do these studies with aspartame in rats, apparently they dosed them up with some extraordinary amount. So when people say it's correlated with cancer and all these different things, like maybe. But the problem with that is what are the other things that are in your life that might be causing you cancer? Is it stress? What are the foods that you're eating with that? You wouldn't live in a power lines?
Would that be?
Yeah.
I drink Diet Coke under a power line. You think that's going to be a problem?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Are you getting sleep? There's so many factors that lead someone to get sick. But when they do these rat studies, then they can go, well, they can control everything. But then humans aren't rats, so it's tricky. I don't know. I just don't think it's good for you. But
I think it leads to
good.
bad. Well, I don't eat pizza with water.
Right.
It's like there's stuff like that. I'm not going to go to the movies and get a popcorn and have water.
Right.
That's no fun.
No, you want a Diet Coke.
And so if I get rid of, that's the way I look at it. And I am into those things. It's not like I occasionally have popcorn. I have it more. I would always say McDonald's could never throw. I'm never surprised when I go to McDonald's menu. I'm always pretty aware of what they're doing. When the rib sandwich, the McRib comes back. Yeah, dude. Someone's like, the McRib's back. I'm like, yeah, dude. I've already had a few of them. Yeah. I remember the day it came back.
You got the email.
I get updated.
List.
I know what's happening, dude. I'm not blown away.
What I used to love was when I would go to a movie theater and they had real butter for the popcorn.
Yeah.
Real butter and salt. Because that funky fake butter, it's somehow or another better than no butter, but not as good as butter. What is that shit?
I don't
when you
ever
get that squirt.
Yeah, I don't ever put it
stuff?
on. I mean, it is. It's made to just get stuff on your hands under the seat. That's all that happens, dude. You're eating the popcorn, and I mean, you just can't. This hand's gone.
What's that? What is the oil? What is it?
I just googled what it basically is.
What is it?
It's partially hydrogenated soybean oil.
Oh, it's terrible for you. It's making you grow titties.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is going to turn you into a woman. Oh, well, if you're a woman, it'll turn you into more of a woman, maybe.
That's what I always wanted to work out. I just want you to not be able to see my nipples through my shirt. That's all I've ever wanted. It's as simple as that.
The man boobs.
The man boobs.
Man boobs are depressing. That's a depressing thing for a guy to have man boobs. And then some guys, when they lose weight, then they still have the man boobs. They just have deflated man boobs. Then they have to get cut.
Yeah.
Because they have to trim all your fat back or trim all your skin back to where it used to be stretched out because of fat. Who's that actor? What's his name? Ethan. He was on Your Mom's House. Yeah. Is that how you say it?
Oh, yeah.
That guy lost
a ton of weight.
200 pounds. Some insane. And he's jacked now.
Yeah.
He's really healthy. The other guy who's done that is Action Bronson. Action Bronson's lost a shitload of weight. Like, look at that guy.
That's
now.
crazy.
Crazy. I mean, he's fucking ripped, but you see how his extra skin around his stomach.
Yeah.
That was all just skin.
That
was
just
all
never goes
stretched
away.
out. No, you have to have it operated on. Look at that picture there. The one, yeah, right there. Look at that. That's nuts. Look, look like fucking.
It's
like
a different person.
Pro wrestler. He looks huge.
It looks like Triple H.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks.
You would never recognize him if you saw him somewhere.
I mean, wouldn't recognize himself.
No.
I can imagine that's a completely different person.
Yeah. And completely different life. I bet the way he feels, it must be amazing to go through life as this giant overweight guy, literally morbidly obese.
Have you seen what happens to NFL linemen when they retire?
Wow.
This is Joe Thomas. He was a all pro his whole life, and right when he quit playing, he sucked down weight instantly. And
Well, he looks
became,
great.
Normal
He looks
looking.
Well, normal. I don't know about normal. Hold on, go back. Go back to that picture. Yeah, maybe he's not big and fat anymore, but that guy's jacked. Show me that picture. The second picture you showed, is that him as well?
Yeah, this is him
The one
playing.
with the
He played forever.
Look, still, that's not a normal guy.
Well.
That guy looks fucking shredded. I mean, he looks like a pro athlete.
Okay.
But before it's
yeah.
he was this is the way for the position. He was a center, right?
You have to
Offensive
tackle.
lineman,
Yeah,
tackle.
tackle, yeah.
And then so for that position, he's like, well, I need to be this size.
I wonder what he did. Just probably cleaned his diet up and
Atkins.
started doing cardio and Atkins.
I think I read it right. Is that
Really?
No, I don't know, dude. I'm making that.
It looks great, though. I love it when athletes retire and they don't get obese, because when they do get obese, it's kind of sad.
Well, they're usually so young.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in their 30s. I remember someone saying that something that always stuck with me. I don't live by it, but being I was like, why don't more people eat healthy? And I remember him telling me, he's like, it's because they don't know how good it feels. And so if you're eating, you're just used to kind of having that drag of McDonald's. I just say McDonald's on, you just
All
have
day. That's your
and
life.
anytime it starts to go away, you go, well, you're hungry again, and you go put it back in. So your whole life is just kind of kind of a slowed down, and you just get very used to that.
That makes sense.
And we have no idea. And I say because the days that if I've ever been I'm doing no carbs or something, and you do it for 2 days, it's you can feel amazing. You go, God, you just have energy, you feel great, or whatever, for the little bit, just because it's a shock to my system that we're not eating just garbage, dude. I had, my wife, she'll go, they went to Florida, Universal, now. And so, she leaves, 2 days before I leave. And it's I already eat bad if she's around. But if she's not around, it's I would have these, pre-made meals. She's just eat one of those. And I was like, no, thank you. If she's not there,
Yeah.
a major problem, dude.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I get it. It's so appealing. You see a ring ding sitting there. You're like, I could just have that. I could have that mouth pleasure right now. I could just put that in my mouth right now. That chocolatey goodness and that creamy white filling.
It would be, it's the best thing ever, dude. It's the greatest.
Once it hits your tongue too, your body doesn't know what the fuck a ring ding is.
Yeah.
All that sugar in this weird semi-digestible portion, because it's not normal. Normal's an orange. That's normal. An apple's normal. Your body eats an apple. It's we know what this is. You don't get some crazy rush. You don't get oh. But if you eat a chocolate eclair or a Krispy Kreme, cream filled. Do you go to Krispy Kreme? Come on, son.
A good bit. Dude, I go so much that I've started wearing my mask on in the car because I'm afraid that they're going to go, hey, what's up, man? and then I can recognize it as a comedian, just as a customer. It's
regular.
Just as a regular dude. And I'll just act like I don't really tell it's not like I talk about my wife. I pay cash a lot. So it can't be traced back to me. A ton of cash.
How many do you get?
I will do 4.
Whoa.
If I go 3 to 4 like that's what
I got tired just hearing that. I felt the sugar crash just hearing you.
I'll go golfing right after. Like I just eat that to go golf, and I'll walk 18 holes.
If you're moving around, I bet that's not the bad idea.
So you're saying I can do it?
It's
I'd
not the
take
worst
everything.
idea.
So you're saying I'm on a good diet, Joe?
Matt Frazier, who is a 5-time CrossFit champion, when he was here the other day, one of the things that he said is that even talking to like high-level nutritionists, they would tell him after a brutal workout, get sugar in your system, drink a can of Coke, eat a Snickers bar. And like, it sounds ridiculous, but your body, when you really exert yourself bad, it needs that sugar. I think the problem is when you eat that sugar and then you don't do anything. If you have a couple of donuts and you go golfing for a few hours, maybe not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
You're out there walking.
Every day?
You're out. No, I don't know about every
what?
day, bro. I don't know about every day.
I'm just trying to find a window. Joe said I should be doing it.
I'm on the donut diet.
I'm on the donut.
Apparently, your body gets accustomed to donuts, and then everything's good.
Yeah, did you hear that? You didn't hear about it? I feel like I can find an article for anything that.
Listen, if you can find an article that says the world's flat, you can find an article that says donuts are good for you.
Those are the people I need to get behind. Like this.
They need to get behind donuts.
Yeah.
Fuck all this flat earth shit. That's nonsense.
Let's do something good and get behind Krispy Kreme donuts.
Someone needs to find a way to make like a keto donut that really tastes like a Krispy Kreme donut. Because most keto donuts are like, okay, pretty good. You know, I've had like keto cookies, like, not bad. But you're never like, oh, there's that orgasmic thing when you have like a really good, like a Mrs. Fields cookie, you know, Mrs. Fields with those big ass chunks of chocolate in them, and they're warm and they're a little bit mushy. So you bite into them and your body's like, oh, keep going. You just want to devour them.
Could Krispy Kreme be the tastiest
thing?
I'm a huge a huge ice cream fan. I eat a lot of ice cream too. But I mean, tastiest thing that you could eat.
It's tough to fuck with, right? Because maybe it's not the tastiest,
but it's
for
it's
a rush of sugar. We're a warm one, warm Krispy Kreme. Oh yeah,
that light's on though.
Light.
I just realized it says original glaze is what that light means. I thought it meant like, I almost see what. That's how dumb I am. I would just see the light, and I would go and be like, maybe it's chocolate donuts this time that are hot. And it's never. It's always glazed. And I keep thinking, one day I'm going to catch them when they go after hot chocolate donuts. And then just the other day, I read the sign, and it says original glazed. I was like, it's never hot chocolate donuts, dude.
No.
Like,
It's always the original glaze. But those original glaze, the difference between them being hot and not being hot is monumental.
Chappelle had that joke about it where he's like, if they made it out of, didn't he made it out of crack, you would believe it.
Did he?
I think so. Like, it's like that idea that you're like, it's that good.
They melt. They melt. You bite into it, and it just sort of disappears, like cotton candy almost.
Yeah.
Just because there's that much sugar in it. It is like cotton candy.
Yeah.
Like you
cotton
bite
candy
into
is
it.
amazing. I've had cotton candy pretty recently.
Really? How often? An hour ago?
Huh? On the way. I got some under the table. You don't know that. There's
What's your go-to thing though if you really want to just fuck up a diet?
I mean, it's my regular life. I mean, I'll eat, I don't know what you mean. Like my go-to, it's I'm never not. I'm always doing something. I started working out a lot, and so I've noticed like I can tell like my legs, which I always joke with my trainer. It's like it feels like it's all legs. That's all working out is. Every day's legs. It just never stops. You're like, let's do something else. It's like, no, it's just legs. But I can tell that like I could see my body getting a little different. And then it's not changing that much. And I'm like, what has to be, you know, because I'm working out and like then I'll go eat McDonald's and then I'll go do something else. And so I'm never putting in, I don't think I eat enough. I don't have enough calories. I'll eat like one meal a day sometimes because people that tend to eat bad can go a long time with eating. Like you can see some really big people. It's not like they're just eating 24 hours a day. They eat at 8 o'clock like they haven't eaten in 2 weeks, but then that's it.
Right.
And so that's what they get, you know, they wake up and it's hard for them to wrap their head around going like, well, I'm not hungry. Like intermittent fasting is not that hard for a lot because you could be like, I don't know, I'm whatever. But during that window is going to be a problem, dude. Like it's going to eat like everything. And that's when everybody, because I always think when someone explains something to be healthy, they always tell you to like, they always be like, well, be careful about fruit. And you're like, well, let's let fruit be let's wait till that becomes the problem. Like I'm not where I'm at because someone's like, how much pineapple did you have last night? You're like, oh, I got after it. Like I had 4 apples if I couldn't put it down.
That's exactly true.
You're like, just let me eat food. But we will hear advice from the most in shape person. And so they're like, well, you got to kind of be careful. Like, yeah, that guy does.
Yeah, but that guy's trying to get shredded for a bodybuilding competition or something.
For me, they're like, let's just not go to McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
Let's just start. It's like starting at attainable goals.
What are you doing when you say you're working out recently? What are you doing?
I do it. This guy started working out with, he comes to our neighbor, this Klug Fitness in Nashville, and they go to your house. They started doing that with COVID, so they come to your driveway. So a lot of my friends in my cul-de-sac, we would kind of go in on it together, and he comes over. Yeah, and he competes in a lot of, our trainer, Matt, competes in a lot of like the lifting heavy, the big
strongman competitions.
I thought every word but strong. I was like, the everyman competitions.
The heavy.
The heavy man.
Big muscle
You're like,
competitions.
yeah, he's a big dude.
Lift stuff, heavy stuff.
And so we do it's all legs are every day, but you're doing a lot of stuff. But he brings they drive around in a van, dude. They set up. I do squats. I do bench press. He has all the weights.
Oh wow!
You do everything, and they do it in your driveway. And
so your neighbors come over, and you all hang out together.
And we all hang out together, and we do it.
How many times do you COVID test anybody ever when you guys do that? Outside,
but we're in my cul-de-sac, so no one's gone. So we all know where everybody's at.
So everybody's just hanging out.
And that's why they kind of started doing it, because of this. Our trainer actually got COVID at one point and told us like, "Hey, I got COVID," and neither one of us got it because we're outside. We're not on each other.
Right.
You're like, that was the whole reason of doing it.
Well, especially when you're doing it outside during the day, there's real evidence that it dies instantly in sunlight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so, and then also under UV light.
Yeah.
That's not a fear during the day. That's one of the things that was most infuriating about LA, where they were trying to shut down beaches, and people are like, why? What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you shutting down beaches? There's no evidence that it spreads this way. And there's early evidence that it died in sunlight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They think a lot of people think everybody's dumb. Well, yeah, everybody thinks, well, I'm not dumb, but you're dumb. And I think people like kind of operate on that mindset to go, I'm not doing it for us, obviously, but it's you don't understand the idiots that we got running around this country that don't know how to because that's why those guys would get caught being out. Like all those governors would get caught doing something.
Right.
Because they go, well, I know how not to get it. But these buffoons that live behind me don't know. And so we got to shut the beach down because they would start licking each other and stuff like that. Because that's what they do down there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird. That's the argument for censoring conspiracy videos on YouTube. The argument is that, like, if you read something or you watch a video and it's clearly nonsense about like dinosaurs being fake, you're not gonna go, oh my God, I can't believe I've been lied to all this time about dinosaurs. You're gonna go, what is this crazy? It's like, were you around when Art Bell was on the air?
Was it the AM station?
Yes.
I remember getting picked up by a driver once and he had that on.
Art Bell used to have a time traveler line.
Yeah.
Okay, where you could call in if you were a time traveler.
Yeah.
Like, nobody fucking really believed the guy was a time traveler, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, I'm sure there was a bunch of schizophrenics that listened that thought it was true.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do? We're going to nerf the world? You're going to censor all these fake time travelers?
You want those around.
I want those people.
Because those make you understand the right more. Because you go, yeah, that's the crazy. And then you go, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, you do want those people around. Those are, I like someone, like the dinosaur's not real. I just picture someone email on YouTube, dear YouTube.
Well, that was
I was lied to about, apparently dinosaurs are real. And I feel betrayed by this video that had 100 views.
A lot of those videos have millions of
views. They
have
millions.
But like that was the argument for getting QAnon videos off the internet. It was that people were buying into it. They really believed it. But if you watch any of those videos, you're like, wait a minute, Trump is still the president? He's
Yeah.
still the president, and Biden's about to go to jail, and they're about to drop the hammer down, and the military's going to swoop in and take over the. Oh, what?
Like a
Yeah,
something
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, it's like they're playing multi-level chess.
They always have I feel like they always have like a reason too. They're like, all right, well, it can't happen today. It's raining outside. So obviously, like there's always some reason that it doesn't happen. Like you're just like, it could happen. And then
There's a great thread that I found that somebody sent me to, where these guys, after Trump lost, and then after the whole Capitol Hill insurrection, all that crazy shit happened, this guy was on one of those forums realizing that he's been a moron and that he's been had. He's like, I can't believe I've wasted all this time believing this bullshit. And people were also chiming in like, yeah, I'm kind of fucking disappointed in myself too. Like, all these dudes were just chiming in at the most ridiculous theories that there was that it was all really some sort of, child trafficking regime that they were trying to bring down, and that's why Trump was pretending to lose, and then they were going to swoop in and arrest all these.
I knew people that got really deep into it. I was trying to get them just to Alex Jones. I was like, let's just. I told a lot of people, I go, this is too crazy. I was like, let's just do Alex. Do not go below Alex. Stop it. Like they're so far down.
Who were these people that you knew?
You just knew some friends, like, guys that want to believe that stuff, and they want it to be true, and they want it,
That's what's weird.
And so it's you got to. It's a mix of, I don't know, people, but there's both sides can believe a lot of crazy stuff. They can get tricked into, everything that goes on.
No doubt. Yeah, it's not exclusive to one party or the other. People can believe some wacky shit.
If you want to believe it, it's pretty easy to believe it, to wrap your head around it.
100%. Yeah.
I thought you could. My dad told me when I was a kid that I can't sleep with my socks on because my feet can't breathe. I believe that my whole life, dude. Like, and I don't wear socks to bed. Like, that's how little of a thing can get in your head that I just was like, well, they can't breathe.
Did you ever talk to him about it later? Hey, man.
Yeah. Hey, I asked him again. Are you saying you're still saying my feet can't breathe? And my dad goes, yeah. And he stuck with it. So I go, all right. Like,
It'd be funny if he's like, I never fucking said that.
He would never remember saying it. I don't know why he said it. He might have said it because I'm a kid that's trying, like that day he's like, I don't want to go to bed. I'm going to leave my socks on. And he makes something up, I
actually read something that said that if you have socks on when you sleep better. You sleep better if your feet are warmer.
That's why I'm having trouble sleeping. Not the Sour Patch Kids.
What's wrong with socks? Why is everybody scared of socks?
I'm a big socks fan. I wear a lot of.
I like them.
I like Uggs. I don't walk around barefoot at home. Like I love.
Do you wear Uggs?
Slippers.
Do you wear socks in those Uggs?
That's why I love things that you don't have to put socks on.
If you wear Uggs with no socks, how long before they stink?
Pretty quick. You might get beat up before that, but it's the guys that attack you. I don't know what the time frame is.
Stinky feet patrol.
Yeah. That'd be the loser patrol that you're wearing Ugg because it's like those. I think that's the point of it.
Dude, we had this guy on Kill Tony the other night. It was fucking hilarious. There was this young kid who's a comedian, and he was talking about how he's really into feet, and he had some girl come on stage, and she took her shoe off. She turned out to be a comedian too. She took her shoe off and let him smell her feet. And he was like sniffing it and getting real excited about it. And they were both getting turned on by it. It was just so.
Oh, she liked it.
Oh, at least she said she liked it.
Yeah.
Maybe she was joking around with it.
Yeah.
But there's dudes that are into stinky feet. They like it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was saying it helps him. That's what he said. He's like, the quickest way for me to bust if I smell some stinky feet. Well, we were like, what?
Yeah.
But he was like so casual about it. Talking in front of this large group of people that's going on the internet to a larger group of people, talking about how he's really into stinky feet.
I feel like you hear people are willing to say more stuff now than they ever were. Especially now with the internet, everybody kind of has a voice. Right. You can become famous at any point.
Right.
If
what
something
do you think
goes
that
viral.
is?
I don't know, but like it's crazy. I always kind of think it's crazy. I always think with celebrities, like think about all the celebrities before. You didn't know what they they feel like make believe people. Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, like you don't know what those guys are about. You would never see them outside of a movie,
Right.
And now you're seeing like Tom Hanks making a video, and you're like, that's just a guy. Like Tom Hanks, watched. I remember something he watched Storage Hunters, that show, and you're like, it just kind of.
He was watching it, like talking while he
He
was
talked
watching it?
about it, like, is that, yeah, I just heard him talk about it a long time ago, and like, just in an interview or something, and he just said he liked that show, or Storage Wars, or something, one of those, a show like that, but it was just like, I don't know, you're like, I don't feel like I never would have known that, like, these people become, like, the idea of, like, Tom Cruise, I've always liked the idea, I don't know if he knows what, like, how much money he is. That guy's been famous for 30 years.
At least.
At least.
At least.
At least.
Right. 30 years ago was what? He was famous in 80.
5.
Yeah.
Born on the 4th of July or before that?
He's definitely famous before that because he was
Okay.
starring in
yeah,
that.
Outsiders.
Outsiders.
Yeah.
What year was the Outsiders? Let's guess.
Oh.
83?
84. For some reason, 84 is popping in my
84
head.
is a good number. Outsiders.
He was 18 in a bit part in 1981. Then he was in Taps in 83.
Oh, that's
So it's
right,
an
with Timothy
Outsiders.
Hutton. 83 was Outsiders?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's when
Stay
you did
gold,
when you did
Pony
a
Boy.
movie, it was
Yeah.
huge.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. There's movies now you're like, I've never heard of that movie.
And then All the Right Moves and Risky Business all in the same year.
Oh, wow.
wow.
Risky Business. Yeah, that was the big one. That made Ray-Bans famous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He wore Ray-Bans and slid around with socks on?
Yeah. Stocks. And
Yeah.
then so that
Wow.
guy wouldn't
So that was when I was a fucking, that was 15. So he got famous when I was 15. And now he's still famous as fuck now and still doing action movies.
action movies.
He broke his ankle jumping from one building to another.
Never seen this movie.
Oh, it's terrible. Legend?
Legend?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Oh,
There's
it's
like
Ridley Scott too.
Yeah, it's like a demon guy. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just not good. Look how pretty he is. God, he was so handsome. Yeah, there was some demon. I forget what it was about. That's 85? Yeah, that's the year I graduated high school.
The Lord of Darkness.
Oh, that's him. That's the Lord.
That's
But-
crazy.
So here he is, back then, grown-ass man, back then. Now, today, all these years later, doing Mission Impossible, jumping from one building to another and breaking his fucking ankle. Did you see that video?
I didn't see the video of him breaking it.
Bro,
I
he
just
does
went through all the
stunts.
Mission Impossibles.
All of them in one
I don't
sitting?
think just over I mean in like a week. No, I would watch it. I started doing that at night is just to kind of pick like these old kind of shoot 'em up, mindless kind of fun
Yeah.
action movies. And so I went through every Mission Impossible. I don't follow the stories as like, I don't
saw-
connect with this.
I saw the weirdest movie yesterday. It's an Ethan Hawke movie about time travel. Hold on a second. I saved a picture because it was so strange. I was like, what the fuck is this? But really original. That's it. Really original movie. Like the end of it, I was like, whoa. Like I don't want to give anything away. Just the fact that it's a time travel movie. But it's a mind fucking and a half. And not like any movie I've ever seen before. Like as the movie's going on, you're like, where is this going?
I did a joke about time travel. I wrote as a show. It didn't go anywhere, but it was like the idea. It was the idea like I don't think if I went back in time, I don't think I could prove I'm from the future. I don't think there's anything I could tell them that's not that they would be like, oh, this
Because
guy's
you
from
don't
the,
know enough.
Yeah, they're like, well, who's the president now? They're like, I don't know. If they're like, you go back to like 1905, they're like, well, who's going to be the next president? I don't know, dude.
1905.
I would be like, name some people.
Let me Google it. Oh shit!
All that's
You
gone.
guys don't even have 5G.
What else could I? Yeah. I would have to hear some names. And, there's always like a window in presidents where you're like, a few of them that you're like, you don't ever talk about, like, or you don't really know who they are.
Right.
They were never famous. If I went back in that time, I'd be like, I've never heard of that guy.
Like, how far back could you go and name presidents?
and
from
comfortable?
starting right now.
I
Okay.
mean, JFK.
Trump. We go to Trump.
Okay. Yeah.
Obama. Clinton. No, Bush.
Bush, Clinton.
Bush.
Reagan.
Reagan.
Jimmy
Carter.
Carter.
Gerald Ford.
Ford. Yeah. Nixon.
Nixon. Lyndon Johnson.
JFK.
Kennedy. Eisenhower?
I'm probably done at Kennedy.
Who's before Kennedy? I think it's Eisenhower because I think that was the famous speech about the military-industrial complex, telling people to beware of the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower, right? Okay, before Eisenhower, Truman.
Yes.
Is this like the 40s now, 50s?
50s.
We're in the 50s.
Yeah.
Truman.
45 to 53 was Truman, so pre-45.
I'm
World War II.
I'm fucked from then.
Pretty famous one.
Abraham Lincoln. That's what I would go next, like 19.
Eisenhower?
No.
No,
We just said
where
him.
he said that.
Other way. FDR.
FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
And then it gets squirrely.
Teddy Roosevelt is in the 1800s, right?
Yeah, he was 1901.
What was his relationship to Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
Father? Uncle? Father? Hold on.
I am your father.
I'm from,
Yeah, so
I'm
now
from
we're
Old
in-
Hickory, which is named after Andrew Jackson.
Oh. When was he?
We have his own home and where I live, and I've never been to it because I switched schools when the elementary schools would go to that
Fifth cousin.
to go to it.
Fifth cousin?
Fifth cousin.
Oh.
And I switched schools, so I just have never been to his own. And I mean, I live 5 minutes from it.
I remember when I lived in Boston, there was a place where you could go that I think was Paul Revere's house.
I think I've been to that.
And I'm always like, I wish, he's famous. Should have a bigger house.
Yeah. This guy was a pretty rough time during this.
Wasn't balling at all.
Yeah, no, nothing.
You know.
They don't go show you his house afterwards. He goes, well, then I moved into
there
a
it
gated
is.
community.
There it is. Like you see Gwyneth Paltrow's house. It's fucking giant. Look at Paul Revere's house.
You would
Tiny
be
little-
disappointed if you got that
Yes.
house.
I would be so sad if I went over like Mel Gibson's house and that was his house. I'd be like, this is it, Mel?
And Mel Gibson is the Paul Revere of our time.
And I think now it's like a museum, right? You can go visit it.
Yeah, I think I've been to it. When Boston.
Yeah, there it is. Apparently, all that whole the British are coming, not really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently there was another guy. There was another guy that was warning everybody. And then Paul Revere was like, oh, yeah, I told everybody.
Isn't that like the Tesla guy? Like there
was two founders of
Yeah.
Tesla before Elon
No,
Musk?
no, not that. Or who it's named after.
Nikola Tesla.
Yes. Didn't he do, isn't it something about inventing light or something? Like, wasn't he? What did he do, dude?
Pretty much,
Like,
that was it.
he invented light.
Yeah.
Yeah, before him, we were living
Yeah.
in dark matter.
But
It was all dark matter.
isn't there some beef between him and someone else about
Edison.
Edison?
Yes. Well, he invented AC/DC, or
Yeah.
alternating
band?
current.
Okay.
Not the band. He
What?
wasn't involved.
at all?
No.
I'd like to
Angus
see your
Young didn't even
sources.
know him.
I'd like to see your sources on that.
He invented alternating current, and Thomas Edison initially was like super skeptical, or was a propagandist, I should say, against alternating current. And one of the things that he did was he electrocuted an elephant to show everybody. See if you can find that. Is that it?
Elon had just tweeted this.
They did invent
Elon
it,
just
dude.
tweeted
Yeah, not
this?
today, but like the other day.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Him and Edison. See, the thing was, Edison was not a stupid man. He was a brilliant man. But Nikola Tesla was an alien. I
Yeah.
mean, he was responsible for so many fucking inventions. Like, so many. He wanted to transmit electricity through the air. And Westinghouse was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, that was his idea, like, to use these towers and transmit electricity.
Yeah, there's a movie made a couple years ago called The Current War.
Oh.
It's very loosely based off of the truth type of movie, but it's the idea of what was going on between them, fighting back and forth. Tesla worked for Thomas Edison for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tesla, like a lot of brilliant men, was not like great at business.
Yeah.
He was just great at inventing things. And when he died, they raided his house and got all his papers and all his shit, and and who knows how much intellectual property they took, because the guy had ideas that never came to fruition that were just genius. I mean, he was a weird guy though. Like, he was in love with a pigeon. Like, he had a love affair with a pigeon that he wrote about. Like, he was in love with a pigeon.
Yeah, that's
I think you can get too smart. And then when you're out there, you're so far out there that you're just whatever.
well. You're in your own world, and like you're just kind of gone, dude. And
Too
you're-
gone.
Yeah, you're too gone.
too gone.
You're
You can get
too
too gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you only have so much room in your brain. And even a super powerful brain, like a person that's extraordinarily intelligent. There's only so much room. I really doubt you're going to have like the smartest person ever who's also really good at telling jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They don't go.
You can also go on stage high and talk shit
Yeah.
and say a lot of really funny things. You know?
Yeah.
It's just not usually the case.
Like if you hung out with Albert Einstein, you're not like, how was it? You're like, pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be like, no, he's the worst.
Right.
He's the worst. Like, because it's like he doesn't know how to interact or something. Like they're.
But if he had notes and he was going to go up on a show and then Joey Diaz was on after him, you'd watch Joey Diaz.
Yeah. Oh, all day.
You wouldn't watch Einstein.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're operating in this realm. You know, when you think about, like, we're talking about LeBron James or Michael Jordan, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, super athletes, just the rarest of the rare humans. Well, there's people like that with brains, just the rarest of the rare minds who can figure things out that most human beings you would give them 1,000 lifetimes with that same brain. They have no shot at ever figuring out any of that shit. I don't care how much education they have.
Yeah.
Don't lie. Like, people will lie. Well, everyone with the proper education can achieve amazing heights
No,
of
you're
intelligence.
born different.
No,
Yeah.
you're born different.
Yeah.
Some people have big brains. Some people have little brains. Some people have minds that work really well. And some people are born deaf. And some people are born with weak hands.
Yeah.
You know, like, everybody's weird.
Is that weak hands are real?
People have just they can't grab things good.
They're born with that?
They have tiny hands.
They're
Yeah. If you're born with small hands,
just like glass falls
you
on
want to
you.
pick things up.
If you talk to someone with weak hands and you come over here, then the cups are laying sideways. He's just,
Could you help me?
He's like, I'm sorry, I have no.
They have to use their elbows.
The
to pick
servers are
things
just
up.
a nightmare when he walks in. They're like, oh god,
Not
like
this
he's
guy.
not. Yeah, give him a plastic spoon. He can't hold a metal one. He's got weak hands.
It's just human beings vary so much. I mean, it's one of the things that makes us interesting. But when you get to a guy like a Nikola Tesla or even an Elon Musk, they're almost so smart that they're gonna be eccentric. There's no way they're gonna be normal, like a normal person, and that smart.
Yeah.
They have to be eccentric.
The greatness idea is so. There's a thing on Netflix called Drug Lords, and it's like I like cartel stuff is kind of crazy to me. It's crazy that it's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like 2021, and you just feel, and it still can be like the 80s, and you feel like when you read stories.
Oh, yeah.
Like El Chapo is in prison. He's in Denver. The prison they have a lot of
Supermax,
they have a lot of people at that prison too. But they there's a girl in Drug Lords, and she grew up in I think Compton or something. I mean, unbelievable athlete, like growing up, right? Goes in high school, like could compete in the Olympics, and it doesn't go that path, and then becomes a drug lord, and then becomes like a queen drug lord that like ran and all this crazy stuff, and it makes me think like that's a person that you're like, yeah, she's going to be really good at whatever she does. She could have been in the Olympics. She could have went down the road that she went down. I think she actually gives speeches now and talks and like about how not to go down this road. But she became dominant in selling drugs. And it was like, just like, this is a super successful person. Wow. Their energy will go. Wherever it goes, they're going to be great at it.
Right,
That's
good
just
or
what they
bad.
have, good or bad.
Yeah, it is crazy when you pay attention to what's going on in Mexico that it's like you could drive there.
Oh, it's wild, dude. Like
We're in Texas. It's not that far of a drive.
I remember hearing a long time ago.
Look at that. Mexico's set to legalize marijuana, becoming the world's largest market. Woo! They're probably doing that just to battle the cartels. But the cartels are growing weed to send to America anyway. Maybe the cartels want it to be legal there, so it takes heat off of them growing it there, and then it's just a matter of getting it over to America.
Well, how rich those guys were, those cartels like Pablo Escobar and Chapo. I mean, they're billions of dollars. It's unbelievable.
We have this guy. We've had him on several times. His name's Ed Calderon. And
I follow him on Instagram because of
Ed Manifesto.
Yeah.
And he always sends me shit about what's going on in Mexico. And to this day, it's wild. There's like insurrections in towns. They're taking over towns. They have these wars between rival cartels. They're going back and forth. And it's fucking wild, man. And it's right there.
How many
It's right
cartels are there now?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's, it's crazy because the amount of power and influence they have. You know what happened with El Chapo's son? They arrested him, and then the fucking cartel surrounded the town and made him release him.
I saw the video.
Yeah, they just let him go. They're like, okay.
2000, and you're like, what is this video from the 80s? You're like, no, it's two days
last
ago.
week.
Last week. And you're like, what, dude? Like that, yeah, because they all surround it. Yeah, they have more power than all the government can't do nothing.
No, there's
I wonder if it
so
ever,
much influence.
can it ever end, or like, does it ever, like, it's like, I mean,
It did in Colombia. That's what's
Yeah.
interesting. Like Colombia,
Oh,
where
wow.
Escobar was, now Colombia is fairly safe. They've cleaned up Colombia quite a bit. I don't know how they did it. I don't know what they did. I don't know what the success formula is, and whether or not that formula in Colombia is applicable to Mexico. Because the thing about Colombia is it's not quite as close to America as Mexico is. The thing about Mexico and America, there's a guy named John Norris, and he wrote a book called The Hidden War, and he was he was working as a game warden and for California, and as he was working for a game warden, you know, he's a guy who likes outdoor activities like hunting and fishing and stuff, and he thought that's what he would do. Like, you know, hey, you have 3 trout, you're only supposed to have 2, that kind of shit. Turns out one of the, like, as he was on the job, they started finding, and this is at the beginning of it, these illegal grow operations in California in the national forests. So they'd find like trout rivers and trout streams that the water was all missing because it had been diverted to these illegal grow ops that were in the middle of the woods on public land. And what they would do is, because when they made marijuana legal in California, they made it legal in the state. One of the things they did was they said that if you have it and you grow it, even if you do it without a license, it's a misdemeanor. So because of that, they started growing 80% of all the illegal marijuana that's distributed through the United States in states where it is illegal was grown in California by the cartels in these like crazy grow ops that had just existed on these ranches. Like, I know a dude who works at a ranch in Texas, works at Tejon Ranch, and they just found, they were wandering around. They saw these white pipes. Like, what is this? And they found this giant illegal grow op in the middle of the fucking ranch. These cartel dudes hiked in with all this these hose and all this different shit, all this equipment that they need. They just hiked in on foot many, many miles with like giant backpacks stuffed with shit. They hoofed it to these places and set up these grow ops and started growing marijuana.
Is that still active? Does he think it's like, when you come up on it, are you like, dude, I don't even want to?
They had to call the cops,
Yeah.
because you can get killed,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, this was one of the things that John Norris talked about in his book, was that they started bringing in, they started bringing in attack dogs, because, you know, these guys would shoot at them. They became a tactical unit. So he went from being a guy that's going to check fishing licenses to being a guy that literally has to walk around in a bulletproof vest, and he's got these fucking Belgian Malinois, these meat missiles that they'll let him go, and these dogs will chase after people and attack them, and they're getting shot at. Wild shit. Because they realized that there's a massive market for this stuff, and so they would grow it in these areas where very few people would go to. So they just go deep, deep, deep in the forest, like where those fucking Sasquatch noises were coming from, and that's where they would set
Maybe
up.
that's where they are. You know,
Maybe they're trying to scare people away.
they're trying to scare people away.
Yeah. So that was a cartel, though. But I mean, when you go back to the early days of the cartel, we're not talking like the immense power that they've amassed over the last couple of decades. This is a fairly recent thing in history.
Yeah. Randomly off that, there's nothing to do with that, but I always think that with stand-up comedy. Like stand-up comedy, I know that it's like court gesture, like there's this, you know, but you look at like Cosby, I mean, he's still alive right now, and that guy was doing it at that point when it was like kind of new. Like with stand-up comedy still, as what we think of it as today, is not that old.
No, it's real recent. And the stand-up comedy that we do was really started by Lenny Bruce. So it was started in like the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, back then there wasn't even comedy clubs. He would host shows where they would have like someone would be like a dancer would go out and perform, and then a band would perform, and they'd have all these different kind of like variety acts. And the comic would be the guy who would tell jokes in between these performances.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to start doing these performances where he becomes this like social commentator and pointing out things. Instead of just jokes, he's pointing out stuff about life.
Yeah, no one's doing it.
Nobody was doing it.
No one's doing it at that time, which is crazy.
He's the door opener, really.
Yeah.
Lenny Bruce.
They were going to Catskills at the time, but they weren't doing like...
Those guys were doing jokes.
Yeah.
They were like, you know, 2 Jews walking to a bar.
Yeah.
They had jokes, you know, and he became the first guy. And then there was Mort Saul, and then of course George Carlin, and then Richard Pryor took it to a whole new level. He was the guy that really revolutionized it and made it the most funny. Because if you go back and watch Lenny Bruce, as brilliant and as important as that guy is in stand-up, his comedy is from a different era. Like, the humans thought about things differently then. They were so closed off to ideas, and like any little risque thing would be so funny. Did you ever see Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? That
no,
show?
I haven't watched it yet.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's real good, especially the first season, and then into the second season. I think the third season it gets a little. It got a little tired for me, but maybe it was just me. Maybe I was bored with it. But Lenny Bruce is in it, and they have this guy who keeps getting arrested and they have him say the things that Lenny Bruce was saying when he got arrested, and it's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's a normal set that anybody would have at the Improv, like a totally normal set.
I'm probably clean now. Like,
yes! Wouldn't even be that risque, and they would arrest the shit out of him. But he had some bits that hold up. Like, he had one back when homosexuality was illegal. And he goes, Dig, it's illegal to be a homosexual. But what happens when they catch you? They put you in jail with a bunch of men who want to have sex with you. Which is
a good joke.
Still solid joke. But if you try to listen to like Lenny Bruce live at Carnegie Hall or some of his performances that have been recorded, I've listened to them. They're hard to get through. Yeah. Like, you kind of have to look at them as like a historical piece instead of trying to listen to it in the context of 2021 with the internet and people can talk about anything. Like, comedy is in a different place now.
Much different. Did you ever meet Bill Hicks? Did you know?
I was in his presence.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say I met him.
Yeah.
You know, I never sat down and talked to him, but I was at Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston and the Comedy Connection in Boston when he was performing, when he was right off of the Rodney Dangerfield special, and he was coming into headline. I saw him bomb.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him clear the room. But me and Greg Fitzsimmons and a couple other comedians were the back fucking howling, laughing, and maybe a small percentage of the audience remained, but he cleared the fucking room.
Yeah.
And he was doing this one bit. In the middle of the bit, he looked up and he goes, yeah, this generally clears the room when people are getting up in fucking droves.
Yeah. Wow.
It didn't seem to bother him. It was weird. Like
well, even be able to see that probably helped you know, to be like, well, he doesn't care.
He had shocking confidence.
Yeah.
Shocking composure and confidence. And he changed the way people thought about doing stand-up, because they thought stand-up wasn't just what's the funniest shit you can do. It was also like really interesting ideas that would change the way people perceive things. That's what he was doing. I mean, you know, like that bit he had, young man on drugs. You know, it's always the same story. Young man on acid, thinks he can fly, jumps off of a building. What a loss. And he goes, what a dick. Yeah. Because he thought he could fly. Why didn't he take off from the ground first? He had this whole bit about, you know, young man on acid realizes that life is merely energy condensed to a slow, rhythmic vibration, and we are all the imagination of ourselves. Now here's Ted with the weather. Like, like, it was great stuff. Yeah. That it was different than regular stand-up. He introduced psychedelic concepts. He introduced like a lot of Noam Chomsky's work about like the real history of interventionist foreign policy and why we were in these foreign countries, and he did it through jokes. Like, he would make joke about Iraq. Like, Iraq has dangerous weapons, terrifying weapons. Well, how do you know? Well, we checked the receipts.
Yeah.
Because he had this whole bit about the original Desert Storm War that was one of the more interesting bits ever about war, because it was like flavored by his understanding of how these things get started in the first place, which he really never saw.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was a different guy, man. I got to see him. I saw him live, I think 3 times, maybe 4 times, because maybe like I saw him 2 nights in a row a couple times.
I always think Boston, probably Massachusetts, I always think that's the #1 place that produces comedians. And there's even comics that like that you're there. Greg Fitzsimmons.
Yep.
Yeah. So Marin. Louis. Burr. Patrice.
Yep.
Bobby Kelly.
Yep.
My buddy Joe List.
Yep.
From Boston. I'm missing, but
Jay Leno.
Yeah, Jay Leno.
Mm-hmm. And then the guys who are the Boston guys, like Lenny Clark, Steve Sweeney, Stephen Wright. Yeah. It was a great place. Tony V. It was a place where they had an unbelievable amount of work, where there was a lot of comics, but there was so much work. Like, there was one area called Warrenton Street, and that's where Nick's Comedy Stop is. Yeah. Where you would go. Nick's Comedy Stop was on one street. You would go a little bit down the block, and you had the Comedy Connection. You go upstairs from that, you had the Comedy Club at the Charles Playhouse. Across the street, you had Duck Soup. And then down here, you had Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places that within a 5-minute walk. Yeah. It was crazy.
It's crazy. Well, that's how New York was when I first moved there. Is like seeing that, the Village had Boston Comedy Club, the Cellar. We had the Village Lantern was like around the other corner, and then they built some other clubs there. But then you'd have New York Comedy Club, the stand up, the Stand now, Comic Strip, Dangerfields, which I think closed.
Dangerfields, I did hear it closed. I was so sad. Yeah. I used to do a lot of shows there, man. Because Dangerfields would give you more time. You got paid a little bit more, and you got food. They would give you free food. So I'd eat. They had great cheeseburgers. Their cheeseburgers were fucking delicious. Yeah.
You could do 20 minutes, which is a big
it's a big deal. Yeah. I was at Dangerfields once, and I think I had like a 9 o'clock spot or something like that. And I got there like 8:45, and the comics were all sitting at the bar. The show was supposed to start at 8, and everyone was sitting at the bar. I'm like, what's going on? They go, we don't have a crowd yet. I go, there's no crowd? Like, no, there's no crowd. And then there's this guy, Bobby, who used to work the door. He was this fucking tank of a man. He was like a power lifter who would make his own weights. He would fill like buckets with cement, and he would like put handles on them and lift weights. So he's like a fucking gorilla. The guy, he's Scottish. And he was always make fun of your act, too. You tricked him with that bag of shite act. And so these people walk in, this couple walks in while I'm sitting at the bar with these guys. I'm like, no crowd? There's no crowd at all? And these two people walk in. Welcome to Dangerfields. Come on in, have a seat. They have a seat, and then immediately the light comes on by themselves. These two people sitting in the audience. Yeah. And then the MC goes out, and then the first guy goes out, and the second guy go out, and then I went out. And these people sat through the whole show. 2 people. They never, maybe another person showed up. Maybe 2 other people showed up. I don't remember. But I remember being, like, stunned. Like, these poor people are being held hostage. They can't even leave.
Not to do better, but I did a show for one guy. And I asked him to leave on stage. I go, we don't need to do this. And he was like, no, it's fine. Like, and I'm like, it's not, and he was, but like, you would do that in New York. I think that's what helped you in New York. Was the amount of sets you're doing. It's like dog years. Yeah. You're going up. Once you got into clubs, you'd be going up like 15 times a weekend, like
for sure,
a ton. Yeah. And but you would get people in. Hey, we got a great comedy show. Come in, blah. And then once they sit down, if you felt they were about to leave, it's like someone's got to go up to hold them. So you got to go up, and that person's got to be like, hey, and they do a show, and you're trying to just get more people in. It's a trick. You're doing comedy in front of people that don't want to be there, like at all. Most every room you go in, that people they don't know yet they don't want to be there, but you're just watching them about to figure it out. And so you're trying to get as many jokes as you can in before they go, yeah, this is weird, dude. Like, why am I here?
Tiny little crowds are weird, but they teach you what's bullshit in your act.
Yeah.
When you start doing jokes for tiny little crowds, like, you realize, like, how much of your act is filled with nonsense. Like,
yeah,
like how much of it is like kind of filler, or how much of the bit is unnecessary, because those unnecessary parts stand out like a sore thumb when there's only 20 people in the audience, whereas if there's 200 people, you can kind of pull it off. You can kind of get away with like fat in your act.
Just generally in a room, just the noise alone in a room with 200 people can make something kind of flow. It gets real when it's 4 people. We used to do shows. I remember if it was 8, it was like, well, I'm gonna tape tonight. Like 8 was like huge. Like you're like, I better get this down, dude.
I still think to this day that it's like it's like if you're an athlete, you got to cross train. You got to run every now and then. Sometimes you have to lift weights. I think for a comic, it's great to do a big crowd, but it's also great to do almost no one.
Yep.
I think it's good. I think it teaches you how much of your act is bullshit.
Do you have trouble with? Because I always heard Seinfeld would say he wished he could go back to where perform in front of no one. When you perform in a crowd that doesn't know you at all.
Yeah.
Like when you get a murder, dude. You know when you go in and you're like, they don't really know who you are. They're like, is this guy good or not? And you get a murder. Like there's not much better than that.
Right.
When you can hear them laughing and you're like, dude, I'm not even to what's good yet, and
Right.
you just got them.
You earned it.
You earned it, and that was the feeling you got when you were that built so much confidence because you're like, these people don't know me
Yeah.
at all.
It's true.
Do you ever miss? It's like now, every room you're gonna go in, they're gonna, you're not gonna be able to really pop up and they'll be like, I don't know, I never even.
I think you just gotta be happy.
Yeah.
There's no sense in wanting something that you're not gonna get.
Well, it's a new thing you gotta learn. Now they have expectations.
Yeah.
So you got to be good enough for their expectations.
For sure, yeah. And
Right
they
when
paid money to see you,
Yeah.
and maybe they're a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Like, this fucking Nate Bargatze. Yeah, come on. Get the
This
fuck
guy
out of here.
stinks,
Come on.
dude.
Look at this-
I let them know I do.
What do you,
know?
dye your beard, bro?
Yeah. No,
Your
I
hair is
wouldn't,
white
yeah.
and your fucking
You're
beard's
stupid.
dark.
Let's get out of here. Watch him
Eating
leave.
donuts and shit.
Not even that. He goes, this fat idiot eating all these Krispy Kreme. Dude, they can't. One time at Caroline's, they would do, they did like a Wednesday night or something like comic to watch, and you get a headline, and no one showed up, and they had to have 20 people, and we didn't have 20, so they canceled the show to me and the audience at the same time at the bar.
So if there's less than 20, they won't do a show?
At that time at Caroline's, because it was such a big room that it wasn't worth it. So if we had like 12.
For the employers?
Yeah, just for whatever.
Employees?
Yeah, 'cause Caroline's was a little different, not as much as like Spot. It was like they would do a normal weekend where they would have headliners, features. But I remember standing with the crowd. Obviously, no one knew it was nobody.
Right.
But then I just remember standing with the crowd. And they canceled it. They go, no show tonight, folks. They told me in the audience, and we all walked up together as a.
I do look romantically back on road gigs that were terrible. I do look back on those moments where I just thought, like, what in the fuck am I doing with my life? And now I laugh.
Yeah.
I do miss those. There's something, not even miss them, but I'm glad I went through it. There's something about it. Like if you're one of those guys that is like a YouTube star and then you become famous doing YouTube and then first time you do stand up, people already know who you are, man, you're kind of fucked.
I've always thought, I would always say, I think you make it at 20 or 40, and I don't think anybody makes it in the middle. So it's either you come out of the gate and you get it immediately, or you have to wait till you're 40. And and so it's like if you could choose it, obviously we're all trying to make it at 20.
Right.
That's the dream. So we all start this going, because there's the guys that you're like, you never know who's going to be in the audience. You never know. So you think that. And then next thing you know, you're 28, you're 33, and you're doing better, but you're not what you thought you were. But if you wait it out, all the people that were 40, you realize that there's a lot of people that were 40 that became some of the best comedians. Maron, it took forever. Like I remember seeing Maron in New York, and people kind of knew him because of the radio show that he was on. But then you see it like really pop, and then these people connect. Burr was a big one because I got to see Burr kind of go up to where like people didn't know who he was, and then it was like everybody knew who he was, and then he started selling out. It's like it's a pretty interesting. And I don't know. I mean, I think you want to be. It's better to wait. If you had a choice, no one has a choice in this, but like the people that have to be or forced to wait tend to be better comics.
If you work on it, yeah. If you develop, I mean, it really is about that. One of the things that happens to some people is they take detours and they do other things like television shows.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and that does it can hamper your stand-up. It most certainly can hamper it because you're so concerned with your television show and you're working on the television show all the time. And it's not that it's a bad thing to complain about. It's great to have a television show, but that takes away time for your stand-up.
Yeah.
When I was doing Fear Factor, I used to think about that sometimes. Like, man, I could be doing stand-up right now. And instead, I'm watching people eat animal dicks. And this is not helping my act other than being able to make fun.
You go 5
Fear
seconds.
Factor.
That's all in your head. Then you.
But one thing it did do is it made me appreciate, like, okay, now I know. Okay, now I've been on a sitcom. Now I've been a host of a game show. And these are both, great jobs to get. But I know that stand-up's better.
Yeah.
Like, now I know.
Did you do spots during those times?
I did. Yeah. I did a lot of spots at the store. During the news radio thing was an interesting thing because when I did that, I really slacked off. That was long days. Those, especially in the early days of news radio, when we were trying to make it work right, because sitcoms are complicated. They're trying to figure out what it is and where the characters fit in, and we had 12-hour days regularly. It was a lot.
Were you
of
writing
work.
on it too?
No, I wasn't writing on it, but they did let you write. Like if you had a new way to handle a scene, like if like Paul Sims, the guy who created it, was brilliant, and one of the things he would do was like Dave Foley in particular wrote a lot of shit for a lot of us. And he rewrote a lot of scenes and rewrote a lot of entries and all kinds of different things that happened on the set. But you were always working, and I was tired. So I'd go do a set, but I didn't write at all.
Yeah.
And the problem was I got to the point where my act was really flat. Like I felt flat. And then I had one night where I bombed hard in front of a couple of friends of mine. One of them was a writer, and the other one was one of the producers. I just ate shit. And then I realized, like, oh my God, like I am falling apart. Like, why am I either I'm going to stop doing stand-up, which wasn't an option, or I'm going to get to work.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had slacked off. I knew I hadn't put any work into it. I knew I would go on stage without even thinking about my act until the moment I got on stage.
Yeah.
Like I was doing no preparation. I was just lazy because I had another job.
Yeah, well, I've seen that balance of having to, when you do that, and two, when you have the other job, your energy, you're in your head, you're thinking so much in that world. We're two different things. Like I've written shows, and you're like, when you write a show, it's just much different than writing stand-up, and so you kind of thinking of show world. So like then you don't come up with stuff really that would fit on stage
For sure.
and so your brain just kind of shifts over to this, So it's such an interesting thing to have to balance out. Were you able to? Would you go on the road like news radio? Did it like help with tickets and stuff like that? Did it like?
It helped a little. I did pretty good. I wasn't famous. I was like one of 8 people on a sitcom that wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
Like nobody was watching that show. It was very rare that I got recognized anywhere. Very rare. Like occasionally someone would go, hey, yeah, fucking guy from that show. It wasn't like anybody knew my name. So if they would come to see me, it was, I had been doing stand-up for 10 years. I was reasonably funny.
Yeah.
But then I did my first Warner Brothers thing in 1999. Did an album. But then when I got on, Fear Factor was more of the same shit. It was like I was so busy that for those years on Fear Factor, I didn't really tour that much. And one of the reasons why I started touring was Dice Clay. I met him at the Comedy Store, and I was always seeing him there. And one day he goes, you should do the fucking road. He goes, you don't need these jerk offs. All these fucking people, whether or not they hire you, don't hire you, can make good money. You're a funny guy. Go do the fucking road. And I was like, yeah, I should do the road. Well, I'm like, I can't even believe I'm talking to Dice Clay.
Yeah.
When I was 19 years old, I remember me and my girlfriend at the time were listening to his stand-up in a cassette in my car, giggling like little kids. And then here I am talking to him, and he's giving me advice at the Comedy Store.
And he knows who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And he thinks I'm funny. So I'm like, holy shit. All right, I'll go on the road. So I started going on the road. And I would do weekends here, weekends there. But after Fear Factor, then I got really dedicated. Because I had been doing it a lot in town. I'd doing a lot of shows at the store regularly, and I had actually put together new material, and I did well. But my best work was all after Fear Factor was done, because I was much more appreciative of it and dedicated.
You got to focus
it.
on it, and then it's and get out on the road. I think the road is gigantic. I think I write more from the road than I did when I was in New York.
Yeah,
because I think you got to learn how to do these longer sets too. Doing an hour. And that's what happens sometimes in New York. I know a lot of New York comics, it can be very easy to get stuck there, where you end up doing these spots, and it's a good place to be, but you're doing 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And like when I first would go out on the road and start headlining, I mean, I would be tired at 40 minutes. Like you just are tired, because I've never, I wasn't used to talking that long,
right,
and keeping an audience attention that long. And it's a whole different
thing.
The way you set everything up is it's so different. And that's what's fun now to go when you get to go to a theater or something and you walk out, and it's crazy. Like I try to never take it for granted. You always you just try to remind yourself you almost, when you're there too, you feel like they're there for someone else, which is always a very weird thing. You're like, who's here tonight? That's how because it's just so weird.
Yeah.
You're, like in your own head, you're like, dude, I stink, dude. This is
when you hear your name, are you still like, what?
Who?
Are they really clapping for me?
Excited.
Yes.
Excited.
Crazy. Like they got babysitters, man.
It becomes more. It's a show.
Yeah.
I always look at it as like, it's show business. It feels like show business. You're going. There's union workers. There's a light guy. There's all this, and they're doing a show. These people got babysitters. It's like them going to a Nutcracker, but they're coming to you.
Yeah. It's weird. It's. I think that's a sign of a good artist, though. When you have that imposter syndrome, I think that's a sign of someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously. I think I would be worried if you didn't think that way.
Yeah. Who else are they coming to see? You're like, well,
No, but I mean, if you like, of course they're here for me. Of course, I'm the fucking man. And you walked out like to this day.
You do better with your back in a corner. And so you should always, I can always tell, I think, when I feel like where I feel now, if you feel like your comedy is, like trying to write a new act, you're like, dude, I stink, dude. Like this is, I did it. I've done all I can do. I don't have anything else funny anymore. You should always have that feeling because you feel your back's against the wall. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I got to find something. I got to figure something out. This special's about to come out. These people are going to come see me. And they're all asking, should I watch it? Should I not watch it? Am I going to make, how much stuff do you have? And they kind of know that now.
100%.
They used to not ever really, I think, like Seinfeld did he was able to tour that for 20 years.
I know, it's crazy. And then he did 2 specials where he did old material on it. One of them was I'm Telling You for the Last Time.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And he did it.
And they paid him millions for those specials, which is hilarious.
I might tell you one more time in 20 years. That's what that was good. Like, I watched that in a movie theater. Comedian. Comedian was a big reason I moved to New York.
Well, one of the things that changed is podcasts where comedians started having conversations like this, where people who are fans of comedy, now they get how we do it and they get the process. So now when they come to see you, if you're doing like a Tuesday night at Zany's, they know, oh, Nate's working out some shit. They know you're up there fucking around. If you have some notes, they don't get, oh, you don't even remember your stuff. They know, like, oh, you just wrote some new shit. Like, he wants to try it out. Like, it's different. It's a different thing. Like, they understand the process, and they also understand that if they see you and you have this new bit about something that just happened today, and then they see you again 6 months from now, they like to see where that bit is gone. And they get to see the evolution of it and all the new tags that you've added to it and all the new places you've taken the concept of it.
Do you have stuff from the podcast?
Occasionally, there's an idea that'll pop into my head from the podcast, and I have to remember to write it down. There might be a bit there somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's usually like I'm just kind of fleshing it out. But Burr's the most interesting to me because what Bill does is just rant. I mean, I've been on his podcast, but for the most part, and he's had guests occasionally, and his wife is occasionally on his podcast, but for the most part, what it is Bill going, what the fuck is, and just ranting for a fucking hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever he does, just ranting about all kinds of different things. And it's always entertaining. But what's interesting is there's so many different concepts that come out of these 2 a week. He does these
Monday,
hour
Thursday
plus long rants, and it's a brilliant way to write. Like he's always got new ideas to write and new ideas to talk about.
Well, talking and being funny, that's the thing that I miss the most about New York, is the thing that you kind of lose is the busier you get a family, you're touring, you're kind of alone.
Yeah.
And with your family versus back then when you're going out every night with each other and you got to be funnier with each other than everybody else.
Right.
That's other comedians. Like that is like that's why the guys are so good.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there at the table and everybody's there. Bobby Kelly just,
talking shit,
going crazy. Like Ben Bailey. Ben Bailey, I remember hearing Ben Bailey, Greer Barnes. I think were the two. I would hear them murder the hardest. You would hear the audience downstairs, and it was just something else, dude. Like it was just, they would murder so hard. We were at New York when it was the Improv still, but then now it's Broadway Comedy Club. But it was the name was still the Improv. And
which Improv?
48th, 49th.
That's the old Improv?
No, it's not. This was the one. It's now Broadway Comedy Club in the exact same building.
Okay.
And so
when did it switch over? When was it the
2005. It was the Improv before. When I got there, it was called the Improv. He got sued, I think, because he couldn't. Al Martin owned it.
Oh, so he didn't really have the Improv
No,
name?
no.
He's just putting it up there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And,
what the fuck is he thinking?
Well, I don't remember the whole backstory, but I remember it being, he was like, and I think they were going to sue him. And I remember them saying they were going to change the name. And then they changed it to Broadway Comedy Club.
That's not a bad name.
And then, no, it was good. But I remember being because we'd be upstairs running this like late show. And then, I don't know if you've ever been in that club, but you walk straight back and there's a great room. Sits probably, 100 people. And then downstairs was the picnic table room, goes deep. And I remember you just hear Ben Bailey and Greer Barnes, dude, would be
I met Greer Barnes
slaughtering.
in like the early 90s. He was killing it back then. He's been
Murders,
around
dude.
forever.
Yeah. Murders, dude.
Yeah, there's always going to be those guys, that just been around for a long time. Tony Woods.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tony Woods been around a long time. Been killing it forever.
You know how I heard that I thought was the boss thing? Bob Marley.
Bob Marley's
Would
hilarious.
he would murder, right?
Oh
Like, he
my
would be-
God. Especially in Maine.
Yeah.
He's one of the rare guys that he's a national headliner. He could tour everywhere. But in Maine,
Yeah.
he does arenas.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
He's a superstar. He has so much Maine humor. Like he would do shows in Maine where he would do like 5 shows a night.
Yeah.
Like start at like noon.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking.
That's unreal,
And
dude.
just do
Yeah.
shows all day long.
Yeah, Bobby Kelly would always tell me that. Like, he was like, dude, he goes, no one murdered like him, dude. He goes, you would just hear him murder.
He's a very funny guy.
Yeah.
But also a super sweetheart of a guy, like a really nice guy.
Yeah, I've never met him, but
I first met him, he was doing a guest set on a show I was doing in Maine in the middle of fucking nowhere. I forget where we were. And, it was a local kid and, was talking about, getting into comedy. Like, how long have you been doing comedy? He was like really just starting out. And we were all just kind of just getting our feet wet on the road. I met him out there and, and then he went everywhere else. Like he was out in LA for a bit and, traveled around and, did the road and all that, but became a fucking enigma. Like there's nobody like him in terms of like in one state, he's so famous.
so famous.
I mean, he's a national headliner everywhere, but in one state, he's 100 times more famous.
Yeah, it's a problem. He can't go out.
Why would he?
Yeah, why would he?
Why would he? He'd keep cranking out Maine jokes.
Yeah, it's it remind just this is not to compare him to because it's like he's a regular comic. But I remember thinking sometimes you would see comics, they'd have one thing that they do, like their hair's cut a certain way, and it like fits their act, or they I have to wear the shirt because I make fun of this shirt every time. And but there was a comic in Nashville, it was an open mic a long time ago, and he had a ponytail, and he'd always do these 5 minutes about his ponytail. That's all he did every open mic. One day he shows up, his ponytail's gone. And we're like, what are you going to do? And he was like offended, dude. He's like, I got other stuff, dude. And we're like, all right, we're so new. We're like, okay.
I used to have a
Yeah.
ponytail.
Dude, he goes up into his new stuff and starts bombing so hard. And he goes, so I used to have a ponytail. and then he just does his ponytail material.
That's hilarious.
And I just remember that moment learning like, yeah, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to get caught.
You don't want to
in
get caught that you
a
can't
trap. Yeah.
change the way you
Yeah.
look because
Right.
I used to have a ponytail.
Bobcat Goldthwait went through that because he used to have that whole thing. He'd go on stage like that with that crazy noises he would make. And then he just said, fuck that. I'm not doing that anymore. And he would go on the road and they'd be like, hey, do the Bobcat thing. He'd be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. And it took years for people to accept the fact that he didn't make those crazy Police Academy noises anymore.
I know Burr used to have trouble with just where they would, when the Philadelphia thing came out,
The roast.
the roast, every crowd would be like, roast us. They want him to do that. He'd have to be like, no. Like Burr always did really good at it. Like I would just see him go, no. And I was like, would you not do old jokes? Like, because you have people yell out, do this, close with this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you ever do that? And then he goes, no, you don't give it to him. I learned with him, me and him went to Daytona 500 in Talladega. Like, he'd go to these sport, he would always just go to these sport events. And so we go see that, which is unbelievable to go watch with NASCAR. Like, it's just very fun. It's crazy. These cars are going 200 miles an hour, dude. They're an inch from each other. And it's just wild. And to be there, just how loud it is, it's just fun. So we go. and his special just came out, and he would do a show beforehand. And I remember we do the show, and his special just came out. Honestly, it was like the day before, and then he had a whole new hour. I was like, how do you have a new hour already? And I learned that he's like, he's almost got an hour of just kind of jokes sitting around. You know, like you just collect. I mean, I'm sure you do. Like you just end up stuff that doesn't make specials that you can kind of go fall back on. So then until you build your new, but this hour was like, I was like, you should tape a special of that hour, dude. Like that hour is unbelievable. It's a lot more like fun story, like, you know, some just stories that you could tell are just old kind of fun stories that he just doesn't do.
Well, you know what he said once to me is a really interesting point. He said, I remember when I was a kid, I went to see bands, and if a band would come into town and half-ass it, they just wouldn't care and wouldn't try. I remember I felt so fucking ripped off. And he goes, you know, I remember thinking, I'll never do this to my fans. I'll never fuck them over and not give them my best effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's like Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio. One of them
Joe
said
DiMaggio
it.
principle. Yeah. Someone out there, there's someone who hasn't seen Joe DiMaggio play, and I don't want to let him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great way of looking at it. And with Bill, with Bill's show, his show is so interesting because it's so different than anybody else's podcast. I mean, there's a few other guys that are doing it that way now where they rant about things. I think Theo Vaughn does it kind of similar. But he gives you like so much stuff to think and talk about. And it works those rant muscles, you know, where you could just
get your brain kind of going down a hallway that like you kind of can figure some other stuff out and kind of grab stuff and like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So when is your special coming out?
March 18th.
Is Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Netflix.
Are you happy with the audience with masks on and everything? It kind of marks an interesting time
I didn't want it to be. I don't want it to like feel like a COVID special. So you don't want like someone to like not watch it. Like in a year,
right.
It's just they take it off Netflix. Like for something, they throw it away. You're like, y'all do that? They're like, yeah, we did for you. We did.
Yeah, right.
So I was trying to make sure it didn't feel like that. I opened with stuff about COVID. And so because it was like, you have to. You can't. I don't want to be. We're shooting a special outside, and the audience has mask, so I can't not address it. And so I have a couple jokes that I do, like 5-8 minutes, something about COVID up top, very just down the middle kind of COVID. I'm not a big preacher of. I don't care if you vote or not vote. Like I could care less, and you just kind of go like, I'm just making dumb jokes, like we talked about earlier, like being a comic that you're like, I don't know, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And so I feel pretty good about it. I wish I would have had my normal run up to this material of actual indoor shows, and I would have felt better. But overall, I think it's like, we had helicopters fly over. We left it in.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like we just kind of riffed about it. And then I found out later it was a police chase was going on.
Oh, wow.
So that's why they were, because I was like, how are they not, like what is going, like one of the jokes I make about it, I was like, why does it helicopter, like one would come from here, one comes over here. I'm like, why doesn't they talk to each other and go, hey, I'm already over here, dude. Don't worry about it. Like, because they were like, keep coming. I'm like, why? Like, that's the main thing a helicopter does is stay in the place.
Like hover.
And hover. And I would just hear him go, and then a different one come. You're like, just stay. Why don't you stay over there, man?
Police chases are so strange because they show them on TV, and it's so compelling because the guy's going to get caught. You're like, when is it going to happen?
It's the greatest.
And then finally the tire blows out, and you see the guys driving on sparks. And
just
then
runs through a
and
neighborhood.
You're watching it all from one of them news helicopters, right? So they're watching it all from the top. News helicopters are weird too, man, right? They're kind of in the way. They're involved in this weird chase.
Yeah, because I don't know if they have to go at a higher.
I wonder how they do that.
Yeah, they have to go at a higher level or something.
There must be something like that.
L.A. had police chases
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
We never really had them in Nashville. I don't remember, but it was very special if one popped up because you were
very special.
Yeah, you were. It was like a new movie dropping. You're like you're just glued to the TV.
The big thing was always wondering if the guy was going to get caught, and was there going to be a shootout? Was the guy going to die? I remember one of them. Actually, I don't know if it was a car chase or what, but there was a guy that was on a bridge with a shotgun and blew his brains out on television, and they didn't
That's crazy.
know if they should pull away or not, and they're filming it. They didn't know what was going to happen, then boom. You see this guy blow his brains out on TV.
That's the Erie, Pennsylvania, the documentary on Netflix where they in Erie, Pennsylvania. Where there's a comedy club there, Juniors Comedy Club, and you have to be clean to work that club. But the guy that had the bomb attached.
Oh, that's right. The bomb attached to his neck.
And
Did
they
ever
showed
figure that out? They ever figure out who put that bomb on him?
It was that the people that were with him made him do it. Like I don't know if he was. I think
It blew his brains out, right?
Yeah, it went off.
A neck bomb.
A neck bomb, the pizza bomb, or what is that what they call him, or something? Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, they just send him out there in the world. Yeah, and then it ends up killing him.
What the fuck,
Pretty crazy,
man?
Yeah, those guys did it.
Look at the people in that fucking picture.
Yeah.
Look at these sketchy fucking people.
I know. You're not surprised by any of it. Like if you just saw the pictures of them, you might be able to guess what they did if before you know.
So he was involved in it? He was a part of it?
I don't know if I remember. I don't know if he was involved in it. I almost like kind of the making the murder, like the kid, where it's
like
kind of
you don't know.
You're like maybe he was there, dude, but he doesn't really. He didn't know what he was doing, or he didn't. I don't know if he even did it. Maybe he was just there. Like I don't know, but it's like he's definitely the person that you're like he's not. You feel bad, the worst for. I mean, that guy died, so
Well, you have children, and you know that when you see someone who's gone so far down the wrong road that they're wearing a neck bomb, sitting there where the cops are surrounding, that was someone's child. Like that was someone's little baby, and now all of a sudden they're in a fucking shootout with the cops, or they're in a high-speed chase and their tire blows out and they're being followed by a news helicopter. Your biggest fear would to hear that you're like, how were their parents? You're like, parents were lovely. Like his parents were like, they lived in a great neighborhood and stuff. That would make you sadly, but you do want to hear they're like, how was his family? You're like, he was raised in a tree, and you're like, all right, we're fine then. Like we're good. That is the scary thing, right? If you're like a good parent, but your kid just has a blown fuse. Yeah, you have no idea. Well, they always say that with school. Like I remember seeing Jeffrey Dahmer's dad. They interviewed his dad, and they're like, is there any signs? Like he used to kill animals and stuff like that, and they're like, there's always signs afterwards. Like no one believes. You can never imagine that your kid is going to be the most famous serial killer on earth. Like you just couldn't wrap your head around that. And his dad, to talk to his dad, he's like, yeah, he used to like kill animals and stuff, but like, it was like the 50s. He's like, I thought kids just did that. Like he just did, I don't know if he knew that it was going to get to, because you can't imagine. Yeah, and that was the thing with Jeffrey Dahmer too. He's like one of the first guys that ate people. Yeah, it's a lot. Imagine your son is like one of the first serial killers that was eating his victims. He fucked them and he ate them. Yeah. At least he's kind of like using everything, right? Yeah. It's very green. It's like hunting. Yeah. It's like he was ahead of his time. You're like, wow. All right. Yeah. It's like he's an organic he would keep serial killer. He would keep them in like barrels, like sealed barrels in his house. Imagine that's your boy. That's your little baby boy. Like throwing catch with them out in the yard. All right, Jeff. Yeah. Time to get ready to go to school. Come, Jeff. First day of school. Little Jeff. Like, wow. He bit somebody. Did he? Killed a squirrel today during recess. Yeah. Yeah, they get kids, He just gets in the car. Kids will be kids. You have no idea. It's crazy. It's you have a little picture. Yeah. I don't know if his family would you ever even have pictures of him? That's a lot to deal with. That's like the Iceman. The Iceman, that guy. Richard Kuklinski? Yeah, he had a family, Yeah, he had a wife and children. Yeah. And to have no idea. I mean, I guess I think he was abusive to his wife, I'm sure. When she would be surprised to the extent, but it wasn't probably like she's like, yeah, he's crazy. Like, right. Yeah, that guy scared the fuck out of me because the way he would be so calm about the way he murdered people, he'd be like, yeesh. And he was abuse. Like his father abused the fuck out of him. And that turned him into that kind of a monster. And if you abuse a kid that much when they're young, you make them angry and mean and vicious when they're that young, and then they grow up to do something like that. I mean, a pit bull is like a dog. Like it's along the same. You're just training it to be a problem. Yeah. Well, dude, I gotta get the fuck out of here. All right, buddy. Let's wrap this bitch up. Your special April.
No, March.
March.
It's
Excuse me.
this
March
week,
18th.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
when is it?
Thursday.
This Thursday. Oh,
Thursday.
Okay,
The
so
Greatest Average
as of the
American.
day this podcast comes out, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
Well, my pleasure. Let's do it again.
I would
Let's do
love it,
again
dude.
sometime.
I would love it.
Yeah, Nashville's a hop, skip, and a jump away from here.
Come on down and we'll get you that. Your
Okay.
face is on the wall.
I know. I got to come down to Zany's.
A dump truck ran through my face.
Did it run through your face?
Did you
it
see the
redo
picture
it?
of the dump?
I did.
It only went through my face.
Did it?
Yeah.
Really? That was your face?
Just my face.
They fixed it pretty quick.
They did really good.
That's
They had a sold
pretty
out show
fucking
that
impressive.
weekend, so they got it going.
Really?
They put like wall up, sold out in the whatever the sense of sold out now, but yeah, they put like dry like something to make it real quick.
Are you happier? Oh, you and John Witherspoon.
Got little John's
Wow.
cheek, and then just
Are you happy with the new painting, or do you like the old painting better?
no. I'm happy with the new one. I actually had him change the picture. He grabbed because the old picture that he had, and I had him change the picture. Dude, the news was down there every day.
What happened with the guy who drove the truck? Is that John-
He
who's
was
that
going
guy?
to a porta john to the bathroom, and he walks out and doesn't put a neutral in it. It just
just rolled.
just rolled, and it's a big one.
March 18th. So as of the day this podcast comes out, it'll be out tomorrow. So thank you, Nate.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Bye, everybody.